from. Oh, where that came from. What's up, everybody? Thank you. Welcome into the show. What's going on? Appreciate you guys all being here. Mad Hatter, welcome in. That's why we do it in the beginning, so you don't miss anything important. Right? Thanks a lot, Twitch. We do it first thing, right up front, so you don't miss anything important. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome in. My name is Ultimate DJs. Welcome into the live studio taping of Talking Trek Live, Star Trek Fleet Command's official podcast. Would like to kick off a Talking Trek server sound off today and find out who is here to get your learn on. Listen, you guys are going to need your thinking caps, maybe some ibuprofen. Go ahead and grab yourself a shot glass. All right, we're going to be doing there's a lot of math today. You might need something to take the edge off. We're going to do it tonight. Who is here to get their brain hurt in a Talking Trek server sound off? Mosher kicking us off on 181. Noon Whistle on server 29. Aquila Hawk on 21. Thank you. Jace on 44. Bad Boy on 13. Paulie D on 179. Clapping at Kirk on server 9 and feeling fine. And Dominus Prime on 53. Daverick on 21. Dr. Phil on European 401. Is that a thing now? I can't even keep track. All these new servers, they're not in sequential order. Welcome in, Dr. Phil. Appreciate it. Raj on server 9. Appreciate it. Jason Cash on server 13. Ken Shadow on 74. Graduated on 26. Coldbane on 164. JB on 15. Thank you. Benny Hills Ghost on server 42. Madam Stargazer on 67. Kellad on 74. Check on 84. Thank you. What's going on? Shinzola on 153. Maxenheimer on European 184. Logan on 42. Andy McCanny-Face on 188. Bender the Robot on 51. Keith on 49. Murphy on 164. Floyd on 21. Tycon on 33. Silvertab on 40. Taffman on 155. Mike Cat on 13. Kiro on server 51. What's going on? C Engineering says, try to hurt my brain, DJs. Try it. I'm gonna take a good stab at it. Jerry on 74. Spectre on server 11. Spectre! What are you doing, man? Oh, dude. First of all, you looked so uncomfortable yesterday. You looked so uncomfortable. Oh, man. Daggone it. Wolfwood called it. Wolfwood called it. He said that there was going to be technical difficulties today. Daggone it, Wolfwood. You cursed me. Appreciate you guys. What's up, Nigel? Freelance, searching for answers. Calamustastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastastas 231 people in our live studio audience as we kick off here today. Thank you guys so very much. Appreciate it. Now we are working. Thank you guys so very much. Appreciate you guys all being here. My name is Ultimate DJs, and this is Talking Trek Live, Star Trek Fleet Command's official podcast. Thank you, Air. Appreciate that. Thanks. What's going on, Paulo? How you doing? Welcome in, everybody. A couple of thank yous very quickly. Gabe, thanks for the 19-month resub. Baminkus, Jeef Boo, Dog Red. Thank you guys so very, very much. Davrick with the incredible stream streak. Can you, listen, let me just say this real quick. And I don't know if you guys realize what a feat this is, because I have a weird broadcast schedule, right? Like some days I'm early, some days I'm late, then some days I don't do one at all, and then some days I add one. without announcing it or anything like that. But Daverick with the wildly impressive 30-show streak. 30. Some days I fall asleep. That's right. Some days I'm 8 hours late. Some days I'm 2 hours early. But Daverick somehow has managed to arrive to the last 30 in a row. I mean, that's impressive. Okay, 30 in a row. And regardless of the schedule, regardless of anything that I've done, 30, which is I know Air could be a stalker. All right, I'm kidding. I'm joking. Iron Chef, thank you for the resub. Appreciate it. Thank you guys so very much. As a reminder to our Twitch audience, alerts and sound alerts are off. When we're taping the podcast, there is nothing. So please don't waste your bits or do anything like that with your toy mice. Nothing like that over on the Twitch stage because we are taping the podcast, and that will take priority. That's right, Murphy. Sometimes, a lot of times, my times are not good for EU. So, the fact that he's been here for 30 in a row, I mean, that's big. Silvertab says, I'm on 38. Yeah, 38, but it won't let me post it. I don't know exactly how that works, when it lets you post versus when it doesn't let you post and all that stuff. But I do appreciate it. Thank you guys so very much. We've got a lot to do. Wait, 30 in a row is more than you DJs. I know. Because sometimes I don't even make it to my own show. Captain Palmer says, your Discord is not working? Really? Discord working? Discord working over there? You guys, check 1, 2. 1, 2, check. Yeah, it's working. It's working over there. We're good. We're good. Just as a reminder, Discord has been tinkering with their updates, so please be sure to go and check your app store, Captain Palmer, especially if you're on an iOS device. They actually fixed this about a week and a half ago, but they didn't force it. So you might have a Discord update in your app store. If you do that, then it should be just fine over on Discord. I would like to welcome each and every one of you. We've got a lot of stuff to get into, including, as we most typically do, ladies and gentlemen, time to get into the stupid news. I'm going to get that out of the way, and then we've got a lot to do. Lots of math, and I would like to say very quickly that you guys are going to have to deal with me today. Because when it comes down to math and science and the laboratory, Blue and Jules would typically come up and help me because I'm kind of an idiot when it comes to some of this stuff. But big news today out of the Vern household. Today is Jules and the Mrs. Jules anniversary. It's their anniversary. Yes. So listen, last Sunday, he said that he couldn't miss Mother's Day, otherwise he'd be in a whole world of hurt. He says today, can you imagine it? It would be a factor of 10 times worse if I missed the anniversary. Nickel says, wait a second. And Jules and the missus didn't want to spend it with us? I don't know. All right, just saying. Yeah, that's right. Happy anniversary to the Vern household. Appreciate you guys being here. You're not here, but I appreciate you sending the data, and now go off and have fun. All right, what are you doing anyway, Jules? Are you going to take her out to a nice dinner? You got flowers? Did you get a babysitter so you can get rid of the kids? What are the plans for the anniversary? And I'm just kind of curious. We could probably give you some advice on things not to do. I know I am the king. I could 100% tell you what not to do, okay? I know all about what not to do. I am the expert on messing up like anniversaries and Mother's Days and things like that. So, I mean, listen, if you're looking for a little bit of help on that, I got you, all right? What's up, Eddie? Eddie, welcome back, man. It's been a minute. Appreciate you being here. Jerry says, step number 1, don't buy her a vacuum. Step number 2, don't go to the strip club. Step number 3, don't go to the cemetery to get flowers. You guys are terrible. What? These are awful. I mean, actually, they're probably really good pieces of advice, but that's common sense, right? Just thinking. Maybe. Don't know. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the show. It is time. We got stuff to do. Ladies and gentlemen from all across the world, it is time to check in with the Talking Trek newsroom. It is indeed time for your worldwide stupid news headlines.
Stupid news.
Time for your news. It is indeed time for your news. And Vanadia says, for me, it's time for a drink. We'll be back in 3 minutes. Ha! I'll teach you. This news will be more than 3 minutes. Authorities in Connecticut. I can't even read the first. I messed myself up, Benani. Authorities in Connecticut came to the rescue of a mother duck and 11 ducklings found stranded in an isolated downtown plaza this past week. It's a good thing they were saved because they could have been quacked by predators. Quacked. Get it instead of attacked. I mean, the chat is starting out at a 0 out of 10. Thanks. I mean, they were kind of vulnerable out in the open. It was heartbreaking looking at those sitting ducks. The new movie, If, starring Ryan Reynolds and John Krasinski. It's called If. It hit theaters this past weekend, but based on early reviews, it sounds like if you pay money to see this, you might be the one in a sad state of affairs. Here's the synopsis. After discovering that she can see everyone's imaginary friends, a girl embarks on a magical adventure to reconnect forgotten imaginary friends with their children. It's kind of weird, but in all fairness, it was really nice to see someone with imaginary friends other than Echo. Yeah. Not any real ones, just the imaginary ones. Hailey Bieber revealed that during her pregnancy, she's been craving pickles topped with egg salad and hot sauce. It sounds really gross, but you could talk to Dr. Juby about other weird pickle concoctions that have been discovered in the last 24 hours in the area of Vancouver. Yeah. She shared a picture of her creative concoction this past week and conceded that it might not be up to everyone's standards by warning fans that they're not allowed to judge. But she doesn't have to worry about people's judgment in her food because people will only judge her for her taste in men. All right, there you go. An unknown number of orcas. Oh my God, this is so good. An unknown number of orcas recently sunk a sailing yacht in Moroccan waters in the Strait of Gibraltar this past week, according to Spain's Maritime Rescue Service. It is currently unknown if the attack was spontaneous or orchestrated. Yeah. Oh, I love wordplay. Oh, come on, Floyd. That was a good one. Caitlin Clark struggled in her debut. Oh, hold on. You want sports? You need the sports thing? I got sports. All right, ladies and gentlemen, time for sports. It was not rough. It was a great joke. It's a fantastic joke. All right. Caitlin Clark was in the news and struggled in her debut with the Indiana Fever this week. But luckily, she is in the WNBA now, so nobody noticed. Yeah, you don't have to worry about it. Nobody was actually paying attention. Caitlin Clark's pro debut. Actually, I take it back. I'm being facetious. All right. Her WNBA premiere was actually the most watched WNBA game since 2001. That's right. Viewership jumped from 6 to 10. Yeah! It happened. Yes. 10 people. Actually, again, I'm poking fun at the WNBA. It was actually huge. Get this. Here's some real numbers. Her game in Connecticut against the Sun averaged 2.1 million viewers and peaked at 2.3 million. People are truly excited to watch Caitlin play because they have a new superstar athlete to gamble on every night. Yeah. Yeah. Finally, in sports news, to commemorate their 100th season, the New York Giants unveiled a Century Red uniform, which the team will wear for 2 games this year. It's a fun way for fans to celebrate the franchise's history, which is way less depressing than its current state. Ladies and gentlemen, your stupid news. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Whale jokes are always good, says Noon Whistle. Appreciate that very much. Good evening to you one and all. My name is Ultimate DJs. Appreciate you being here. We are Star Trek Fleet Command's official podcast, and we got a lot of stuff to get to today. In other words, the uniform is not that gross, is it? Really? You think the uniforms are awful? Floyd says it's terrible looking. Awful. Captain Elmer says sound is not playing through Discord. All I get is elevator music. Maybe force close and come back because it's working for a bunch of other people. It is working over there. There could be an app or it could be frozen. That elevator music is something that you get when you're like in the lobby. So I don't know. Stargazer says it's been going in and out. Well, you know, that's Twitch for you. I mean, that's Discord for you. Let me just disparage all of our broadcast platforms. Yeah. Oh, Discord, you're terrible. Forgot to turn that off. Sorry about that. Speaking of, very quickly, let me come in and tell you real quick. As of the time of taping, there's still like 6 hours or something left on the Monopoly Go thing. All right, still like 6 hours left. As a matter of fact, let me pull this up for you here real quick, and I'll give you a little bit of information, super quick. All right. If you are still not yet to board 11, then you definitely want to get there because, folks, we did, in fact, hit all of our goals. Take a look at those numbers right there. First of all, you guys are amazing. Thank you so very much. You guys are absolutely incredible. What an amazing community. Thank you, guys. Thank you. The goals were simple. Yes, there is a shield up on my base. The goals were simple. 56 players to complete board 2, 112 players to complete board 2, and then 112 players to complete board 10, which, by the way, that was a challenging one. I don't know how many you guys didn't do that in a day or two. It took probably 3 or 4 days playing free to play. So, but 112 was the goal to get to board 11. Thank you, guys. You guys did it, which means we hit not only goal number 1, but not only goal number 2, but goal number 3, which means this coming Tuesday, we will be giving away not 1, not 2, but 3 Gorn Eviscerators here in the chat. Yes, 3. Yeah, absolutely incredible. We will be giving away 3 of those this coming Tuesday night. You do not need to be present to win, but what you do need to do is click on, if you're in the Twitch chat, !Monopoly Go. If you're on Discord or listening in podcast later, go to the contest and rules room to find the Google form and submit the screenshots of your progress. We will be spending the next day or two. Let me rephrase here. I hope to give these away on Tuesday, but obviously there's a lot of people. I got 117 that I got to go through and just cross-reference it against the list and make sure, you know, that the names match up and all that stuff. So I hope to do it on Tuesday. It could end up being Thursday, not real sure. But the way that you will win is to submit yourself into that Google form. And by the way, do you need to be at board 11 to do the Google form? Absolutely not. If you are one of the 166 people that have finished board 2, you still want to complete the form even if you're not going to make it to board 11. Why is that? Because there were 3 goals. To get to board 2 was the first goal, and that will give you 10 entries into the Talking Trek Cruise Sweepstakes. That's right. We've got a cruise. We're giving it away for you and a friend. If you are just now tuning in, you don't know what this is all about. We're giving away a cruise, people. We're giving away a cruise, and you've got a chance to win 10 free entries right here coming from about 15 minutes worth of gameplay in our sponsored stream game. That is Monopoly Go, and you get 10. If you make it all the way to board 11, you'll get an additional 25. You get an additional 25 entries, plus you'll be entered to win the Gorn Eviscerator. Now, Matt Hatter says, I can't participate. I refuse to download Monopoly Go. Totally get it. After all, it is a Scopely game. I have yet nobody has acknowledged this over in Culver City. Okay, nobody has actually acknowledged this yet. I still, to this moment, do not know if Beck and the team know that they gave me the sponsorship because it went through a third party. I picked it up. You know how, like, like Bafty has gotten Star Trek Fleet Command, and we used to get like Marvel Snap and stuff like that. They were all handled by third parties. I got this one from a third party. So I got this one from a third party, and so I'm not entirely sure if they know that I've got it or this or that. But that being said, Mad Hatter, it takes 15 minutes. I mean, I know on principle, I get it. But, yeah, that's right, graduated. Don't ask, don't tell. I didn't bring it up. I ain't bringing nothing up. All right. All I'm saying is, Mad Hatter, if you want to win some stuff, it's super easy and totally free. Just do it. And then you can do whatever you want after that. I actually haven't logged in today. I've been busy, but some people have told me that, they're probably not going to continue to play, and that's okay. Some people might continue to play. I don't know. It's up to you guys. Whatever. That's the whole point that they do these promotions. Somebody might like it and keep it. But that being said, this is going on, and we have just a few hours left. As a matter of fact, as of this moment, our performance window is 7 hours and 9 minutes. 7 hours and 9 minutes as of this moment, 4:50 p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday. Okay, that is the amount of time that you got left to go in and finish your objectives and submit the screenshots in on the Google form. And if you do so, then we'll be entered to win cool stuff. All right, including a cruise. I mean, Mad Hatter, I get it, but wouldn't it be cool if you won a cruise? I'm just saying. I don't know. The command Pong is !Monopoly Go in Twitch, or you can find the links over in the contest and our sponsor links and info over on Discord. If you haven't yet actually downloaded it, don't just go in and download it. Make sure that you use our direct link if you want credit, because they will be sending us a list. All right. That is the sponsored stream information. Didn't really want to get into that, but since there is only a few hours left, I'll give it to you. There you go. Okay. That's where we stand. So make sure you get your entries in. All right. This weekend, Strange New Worlds, New Kirk. All right. First of all, can I just say that I've been rewatching some episodes, and I kind of feel like, I had originally said that that I didn't know how I felt about the new actor that plays Kirk. You guys know, I mean, some of you guys have said he's done really, really good. Other people have been like, oh, I don't know. He's no William Shatner. And I was kind of undecided on him. But I feel like the more that I watch, the more that Paul Wesley continues to impress me when it comes to his interpretation of Kirk. So I'm not exactly sure. He's growing on me. He's good in the show. He's got some Shatner mannerisms, which none of it actually matters. Right? Absolutely none of this matters, because we're going to look at his mannerisms and the way he performs inside our game today, which is confusing. Now, I want to do a big shout out to a lot of people. I want to do a shout out to a lot of the VIP community who sent me a ton of data. Thank you for that. Thanks to Captain Bull. Thanks to JB. Thanks to Scopely Customer Support, who has been helping me in game design and live ops, and Rev Deuce. Rev put out a great video on this a couple of days ago. He didn't go as deep into the math. He showed the formula. He didn't go as deep into the math as my nerdy self would like. So that's why I'm going to jump into it today, head first, all into the math. But Rev's video was a great top-down video on what the difference is between Kirk, Harrison, Pike, Janeway, research, and everything else in the game that affects mitigation. As a matter of fact, there's actually not a heck of a lot. Okay, real quick, let's just start. I'm gonna take a look at my little cheat sheet here. I'm not gonna put it up on screen. You guys tell me all of the areas inside the game where you find shield mitigation. You guys throw it up in the chat, and we'll verify, not verify. We'll talk to you a little bit about it. Okay. Let's talk about areas in the chat where shield mitigation is impacted. There's actually less than 10. All right, there's not very many. So, wait. Mad Hatter says the cruise would be nice, but I have family that send me hundreds of requests to start the game, and you're just not doing it. Well, I mean, now you got a reason to. All right, Coldbane says research and officers. Yeah, but let's get specific, Coldbane. What research? What officers? As a matter of fact, there are four researches, and two of them are very conditional. All right? JB says, I find shield mitigation in PAX purchases. Maybe. Maybe, partly, but there are a couple of free-to-play ways. Mosher says Fleet Commanders. Ooh, is there one in Fleet Commander? Not sure that there is. Hold on, let me double check. Nope, there sure isn't. Wire Speed says Harrison, Strange New Worlds, Pike. Okay, if there is one in Fleet Commander, it didn't make my list. All right, so I'm going to look. Strange New Worlds, Pike. There you go. Thank you. Klingon one. Klingon research, says Mimi. Romulan research. You got it. All right, let's break into the researches first. Okay? Researches first. If you go into the combat tree, and by the way, this is way, way, way down the line. This is G4 territory. This is where you are starting to work on your super highways. All right? The research that uses raw intelligence, or therefore you got to earn the raw intelligence, refine the raw intelligence into Klingon, Federation, or Romulan intelligence, and then you use them for researches. Okay? So let's take a look at the first one. And by the way, we're going to talk intelligence of G5, not G4. Yeah, G5, sorry. G5. It's been a long time. Thank you, Mimi. Let's talk about these researches for superhighways. Okay? The first one that we're going to talk about is KSG shield mitigation. It is a Klingon research, and it will increase your base shield mitigation for the first 2 rounds of combat. By the way, all right, we're going to break these out into 2 different categories. So you guys take notes, okay? You guys take notes. We're going to put this one into the affects us category, okay? Affects us, our ship, okay? Just our ship. Increasing base shield mitigation for the first 2 rounds of combat on our ship. What that is going to do is increase the amount of damage that goes to our shields as compared to our hull. Now, maybe we should step up 1 second. Let me just ask a question. Does isolytic percentages or cascade percentages have anything to do with shield mitigation? Let me just ask real quick. I wish I had Bubba Joe here. Mimi says, nope. Cascade, isolytic has nothing to do with the 80-20. As a matter of fact, isolytic will bypass the mitigation, but it is still subject to the 80-20 rule. Now, if you're brand new to the game or not used to our content or listening to our content at a very young stage in the game, the 80-20 split is what I'm referring to as the amount of non-mitigated damage and how it gets split up between shield and hull. For example, if you take a look at your battle log, all right, just any battle log, it doesn't matter, look at anything you want. Take a look at a battle log, you're going to see a couple of entries, okay? On the left-hand side, you're going to see the mitigation and things like that, or the damage that you have received from your enemy. This is talking about the mitigation and so forth, the statistics that affect us. In this case, the KSG mitigation. That affects us, all right? So we didn't, in this particular screenshot, and I'm just going to throw this into the graphics room very quick. I've got a lot of graphics today. They will all be in the graphics room, all right? So if one of the moderators is able and willing to go in and just kind of put some narrations on what is happening. Maybe Spectre, are you able to post in the graphics room, Spectre? I need to make sure that you can, because if you are able, I would like for you to come in and just kind of narrate what we've got in the graphics room for people who are following along a little bit later. This first screenshot right here shows that we have received X amount of standard damage. We've received or mitigated X amount of standard damage. That's fine. Mitigated no isolytic because the hostile didn't show us any isolytic, okay? But then it shows we received X amount to shield health and X amount to hull health, all right? That, for somebody newer in the game with no researches, no shield mitigation multipliers or effectors or any of that stuff, that's just going to be simply 80-20. Okay, 80%, 20%. 80% goes to shield, 20% goes to hull. So if we are taking a look at things that affect shield mitigation, such as the combat tree research called KSG shield mitigation, we're going to see that this increases shield mitigation by, in my case, I'm at level 4 out of 5, 2% for the first 2 rounds. All right? Now, there is something very, very important to note here, which is that there are 2 types of mathematical formula, or the way that they calculate shield mitigation in this game. Rev talked about it. There's additive and there's multiplicative, all right? KSG shield mitigation is what I'm going to refer to as an additive researchability, meaning it's net. All right. And by the way, you guys like net. Okay. We all like net. Net is the version that gives us the most ability. It's not multiplicative. It doesn't get multiplied against itself. It doesn't get drowned out by diminishing returns. It is simply just, I get 2%. Meaning that in this particular case, if a hostile hits me, just real quick, let me throw it out to the chat. If a hostile hits me, and this is the only research I'm running, do I get an 80-20 even split between shields and hulls? Somebody tell me, if this is the only piece of research that I've got, what is my shield-hull split going to be? Thank you, Infinity, for the follow. Hey, Texas guy, big guns. Q, what are you doing? Thank you, Smurf, for the kitty bitties. What is it going to be? If it's 80-20 normally, Cold Bane's got it. This research right here is going to take me to an 82-18 split. All right? Let's prove if that is accurate. Okay? I have on your screen and now in the graphics room an example of me, and this is one of my battle logs. All right? By the way, here's the crew that I'm running. I'm just going to go ahead and show you that there's no modifiers, okay? No modifiers whatsoever. This is the crew I'm running, just my normal hostile grinding crew, right? This is what I got going right here. So Picard, Data, 5. All right, some lower deck stuff. And then here over here is the amount of damage and mitigation and all that stuff. And again, this is in the graphics room. And I apologize. I'm going to read you some numbers. I know it's a little bit tricky to listen to this, but long story short, and these numbers aren't going to make sense to you unless you've got a calculator while you're driving. Okay? Here we go. Oh, by the way, good. Yo, UAMD, don't let me forget. We're going to come back to that. We're going to come back to that because that's not exactly right. Okay? Hang on. We're going to come back. So, in this particular case, I'm not worried about the mitigation. Forget about it in mitigation. I am only dealing with shield and hull damage. So I took 36,704,368 in shield damage. I received 10,352,514 in hull damage. Okay? Here's how you can figure it out. Super easy. Add those two values together and then divide the amount of shield health damage by the total sum. That will tell you what your amount of shield mitigation was. Okay? Very simple. If I take the 36 million number, add it to the 10 million number, then take the 36 million number and divide that by the total, that's going to tell me that I got 82%. Okay? Anybody want to double check me? I can do it. I'll do it. We'll double check it. All right? 36,704,368 plus 10,352,514. I'm going to take the 36,704,368, divide it by the 47,056. Whoops. 36,704,368. Can't type. I'm trying to go too fast. Divided by 47,056,882. Boom. 78%. In this case, it's not going to be 82, but yeah, because that was the freebooter. Thank you, Maxenheimer. You caught me. I should have been looking at the other side. Either way, guess what? This is actually a perfect example of something I was going to teach in step 2. All right, I just got ahead of myself. That's right, Maxenheimer. That was the freebooter and not me. But it mitigated at 78%, not 82%. Why would that be? See, this is what you call a graceful recovery, Maxenheimer. This is a graceful recovery. All right? That 78 comes as a result of a different research. That research is immortal shield mitigation reduction, which, by the way, does the exact same thing. Decreases opponent shield mitigation for the first 2 rounds of combat. It's also 2%, okay? Which is why that hostile got 78% and not 80. I reduced theirs, and I also increased mine, okay? And just as a quick side note, I will go in and show my 82% because I pulled up the wrong screenshot. Okay, we'll come in and we'll show my 82%, except I don't want to do it there. Let's do, I got to find a hostile. Here we go. We'll do it with this hostile right here. And I'm going to pull this over into the graphics room, and you guys bear with me because I'm doing a lot of this stuff live and on the fly. All right, we're going to take this number, which is 1,353,858 in shield. And we're going to add it to the 56,411 I took in hull. That means that my ship received unmitigated damage of 1,410,000. But I did apply that amount, 1.3 million, to the hull, or to shield. That was 90. Oh, God. Another bad example. I'm using a different crew now. God bless it. Yeah, see, look, I'm using Strange New Worlds Pike. Another bad example. You all just want to start over? I've got so many screenshots. You just want to go back 10 minutes? I got so many screenshots. It's messing me all up. All right. Did the math from the pic you posted earlier. C engineering. It's 82%. Thank you. I know. I'm messing things up. All right. Yes, Jules, you should have gotten flowers. Just throwing that out there. Okay. All right. Now, Floyd says, Mr. Bad Example. I know. Hey, Dragon Keeper, what's going on, buddy? All right, so anyway, the point that I was trying to make is these two researches are two researches that affect mitigation in the game in what I'm going to refer to as an additive format, basically meaning that it will add 2% or subtract 2%, or it would be 1% or 0.5%, depending on the level that you've got. It goes all the way up to 2.5%, okay? Goes all the way up to 2.5%. Are we having trouble? Are you guys online? I feel like my OBS is freaking out. It says that I'm not connected. Are you guys still getting anything? Can I get a hand check in chat and in Discord? You guys okay? Srital says I'm fine. Wirespeed says I'm fine. Discord, you guys good? Raj says okay. All right, that's weird. My chat is freezing up. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to get chat. My Twitch chat is acting up, so I'll apologize real quick. I might have to lean more on Discord. My Twitch chat is acting goofy. All right. So right here, this research can get you up to 2.5% on your side, also 2.5% on the enemy side. Okay. Now, two more researches that are conditional. Two more researches that are conditional. Who knows what one is? Jace points out Titan Shield. Very good. That's in the Starships tree. Let's take a look at Titan Shield and see what that does. Titan Shield, right here. I've got it maxed. Decreases opponent's shield mitigation against non-Armada hostiles when fortified. Okay? That is a big one, actually. It's a 10-level research that starts at 4% and goes all the way up to 30%. That's huge. However, it does require fortification. Decreases opponent's shield mitigation. All right, let's start back at the beginning. What is the default shield mitigation in the game? Coming back, 80/20, right? That's correct, Jace. It does not require max fortification, just regular fortification, and it is 30% at max. So an 80-20 split means that this research, when fortified, will actually drop you, or drop your hostile, that is, to a 50-50 split. That's going to put 30% net more against the hull of the target. That's why fortification, that's one of the reasons. Fortification is great. Fortification is pretty daggone good. Okay? This is one of the reasons. You're automatically doing a net 30% more damage to hull than you would otherwise be doing. Out of non-mitigated damage, that is. 30% more of unmitigated damage. Okay? So Titan Shield, great. And by the way, Mimi says that's not a net 30, it's more like 150. Yeah, as far as the terms of damage, I can kind of get behind that. But again, we're talking about the 80-20 split itself. All right? It goes from 80% to 20% to 50-50. Okay? So that's right, a 20% nominal to a 50% nominal. It, by the way, is a real number. It's not multiplied by a multiply by a multiply. It is just, hey, take the shield mitigation from 80%, drop it to 50%. Okay? That's Titan Shield, an additive shield modifier. There's one left. There's only one research left. Who knows what it is? One left. It actually has to do with Cerritos. That's right. It's a Cerritos research. And unfortunately, I actually don't have it done yet. One more week. Just one more week, and I'll have it. This research, by the way, requires a max Cerritos. It's the only way you can get this research is by having a max Cerritos because it requires the currency called a rare Culver particle. All right, one more week and I'll have enough rare Culver particles to finish this research. It's called Lower Decks Spirit. All right, Mimi says, why would you do the PvP damage one before the shield mitigation one? Because I used to like PvP. Crazy, call me crazy. Anyway, Lower Decks Spirit is what it's called. Okay, Lower Decks Spirit, by the way, same thing. One level of research, increasing your base shield mitigation while supported by a Cerritos. This is 2.5%. By the way, it's increasing shield mitigation, which means it applies to us. Okay? So let's pretend for a second that we start stacking these up. Let's pretend that we've got a max KSG mitigation, which, by the way, that's the research. KSG mitigation gives you 2.5%, and now you have Lower Deck Spirit for another 2.5%. Does it multiply? Is it like a 1.025 times 2.5? Or, like the other research that we talked about, is it additive? This is big, guys. That's right. Mike says, I guess it adds, and indeed it does. This, combined with KSG, will take this and now make your permanent, by the way, while you're boosted by Cerritos in this case. That's right, Unleash. It adds. So in my case, I've got 2% from KSG. I can have 2.5% here if I'm boosted by a Cerritos, and that's going to get me up to 84.5. All right? Or if I max my KSG, it's just going to make me 85%. Okay? 85% shield mitigation to 15% hull. That's great. By the way, that's huge. Okay? That's a significant amount of damage, especially when we're talking about Isolytic and Cascade. Okay? Because, by the way, those increase damage but have nothing to do with shield mitigation. So if I'm taking a boatload of Isolytic, every little bit counts on me taking it away from my hull. Okay? Those are your 4 researches. Royal Power says Harry Mudd is better. Okay, well, let's talk about officers. Let's talk about officers. There are 5, 6, 7 officers. 7 officers in the game that affect shield mitigation. All right, let's talk about them. We're going to talk about, well, you know what? Royal Power says Harry Mudd. Okay, let's talk about Harry Mudd. So let's go into our officers. Let's take a look at Harry Mudd. By the way, we're talking about Office Mudd here. Office Mudd is who we're talking about. And by the way, does it add or subtract anything? No. This is not even technically an additive or a multiplicative. It is simply flat. It's simply flat. There's no calculation. Okay? Harry Mudd has a chance, depending on your synergy, has a chance to raise shield mitigation to 98%, but for the first 2 rounds of combat. So let me just ask a crazy question. If he's flat, by the way, no multiplication, no multiplying this, that, or this, okay? 98% shield mitigation for the first 2 rounds of combat as compared to what? 80%, right? As compared to 80%, he's going to take me up 18% to 98%. But, that's right, Jimmy Jams, he's additive, so he can be combined with KSG. My KSG is at 2%, so let me ask, if Harry Mudd procs, does a hostile ever land hull damage on me? It's a trick question, by the way. You got it, me. As long as my shield stays up. If my shield stays up, 100% of damage is going to go to shield. Another example, Jimmy Jam says, if you kill it in 2 rounds or less. That's correct. If I go to round 3, Harry Mudd no longer applies. Okay? Nira says he rarely procs. Well, that depends. Are you running him with synergy? Because you can get him to proc pretty reliably, but you're taking up 3 bridge slots to do it. Okay? we determined long, long ago that he is not a super amazing officer to use on the bridge. Okay? KSG doesn't apply after round 2 either. Correct. All right? These are all beginning of combat modifiers, which is going to lead me to my big modifiers here in a moment. So, KSG, fair. Harry, mud. Cool. What about another one? What about another one that works in, say, PvP? Is there a PvP exclusive officer that affects shield mitigation? There sure is. That's right. Strike Team Una. Let's go to Strike Team Una here. Let's find Strike Team Una. She's a rare officer, by the way. We're getting close. Where are you at, Strike Team? I'm losing it. Strange New Worlds. Here we go. Strike Team Una. Okay? And again, I'm not posting screenshots right now because these are officers you can pull up in your game. Strike Team Una, officer ability. While on a battleship fighting a player, Strike Team Una decreases their shield mitigation by 30% each round. Holy smokes. Which means, by the way, after 4 rounds, you've got 100% shield mitigation. Okay, you're decreasing. Actually, I take that back. You've got 100% shield penetration. You can't call it piercing. It's a totally different category. Their terminology is way wacky on this. But let's put it this way. They will have 0% shield mitigation. So how does that happen? If your opponent has 0% shield mitigation, how much, as a percentage, of damage is going to their hull? Anybody got the answer? If they have 0% shield mitigation, that's right, Ginmon, all damage will go to hull, regardless of whether or not the shield actually falls. They could die with full shield, and it doesn't matter. Because after mitigation, that's right, Carissa, after mitigation, 100% of damage is going to go to the hull. Okay? Strike Team Una, another example. Not widely used, but she's still used and still works, and she works properly, by the way. Okay? Who else? Thank you, Grungandola. T.O.S. Uhura, by the way. Very, very deceptive. Very deceptive officer, but she does indeed work and works properly. When fighting players, as long as the ship has morale, TOS Nyota Uhura removes 20% from the shield mitigation of the opponent's ship. By the way, everything that I have given you up to this point is additive. All right? So, if I've got morale and I've got Uhura on a bridge slot, and if I think I said if I've got morale, round number 1, what is my enemy's shield mitigation? It's 80-20, but the ship has morale. I've got Uhura. It's her officer ability, by the way, and this is at max. At max, she's 20%. So it's going to drop from 80-20 to 60-40. Do they stack? Asked Lieutenant Fire. They sure do. Every single one of them stack. They all stack. The problem is trying to find a way to stack them and not waste slots and trying to find a productive outbound damage. I mean, right now we're talking about how to get rid of their shields, but you still got to chew through their hull, right? You need some damage to do things like that. You need some big output. Except, do we get output from the bridge anymore? Do we get damage output from bridge slots anymore? I mean, obviously you can. Totally you can, says Mimi. But where are a lot of people, just as a default, maybe not necessarily in PvP, but in PvE, where do you get your damage? You get them below deck. You get it below deck. Okay, you got WHOO. You got BLT. You got Troy now. You got Odo. Right? You got Chapel now. Huge. Okay, that's right. Dragon Keeper says in PvP, yes, still got to use the bridge. Agreed. PvE, that's right. It's mostly below deck. Okay? Now, I want to ask a question. Thanks, Yagadia, for this. This is where the game gets super, super confusing because they use improper terminology. Is anybody surprised? Shield of Pericles is an artifact. It says it increases mitigation stats for all players, all ships against players. Does this work on shield mitigation? Just curious. And why doesn't it? I'm going to go ahead and answer my own question. Does it work on shield mitigation, and why not? It does not, because keyword stats. That's right. Stats is the keyword. Hey, let's bring up another one. In Syndicate. All right, let's take a look at Syndicate. By the way, this is level 4, for example, just looking at an early one. Plus 2% piercing, plus 3% mitigation. Well, it doesn't say stats, does it? Doesn't say stats. But it does specifically name the stat categories. Shield deflection, armor and dodge, and accuracy, shield piercing, and armor piercing. Okay? These are also statistic categories. Wire Speed says, yes, it does. It does, actually. It does. Right there, stats. I'm a dope. All right? It does. But it also names out these categories. Now, why? Rev said this in his video, and I actually fundamentally agree. The word mitigation is not the right word to use here. All right? It's not. But it's what the game has dealt us. You'll have to rely on people like me and Rev Deuce to explain the coding or the mathematical difference in officers that come out. Because everything we've talked about has been additive. Okay, let's go back. There's one more before we move on. Actually, two more I want to talk about. Okay, two more. Captain Janeway, right? Epic Captain Janeway. Let's find her. Janeway, hers is in her captain's maneuver. Okay, when you take hull damage from a non-player hostile or armada, super nice to note that there. Captain Janeway increases your shield mitigation by 6% for 1 round. Her synergy, by the way, is 7% per side, regardless of class. Now, why do I bring that up? It doesn't matter what Voyager officer you put up there as far as engineering, science, or tactical. It doesn't matter. As long as you've got officers up there, you're going to get 7% per side. What is 6 plus 7 plus 7? This one's an easy math. This is an easy math. That's right, Mike. 20%. Is she additive? The answer is yes. When you take hull damage from a non-player hostile or armada, Janeway will increase your shield mitigation with full synergy to 20% for 1 round. If I'm already at 80%, by the way, she's affecting us, not our target. Put this one over in the affects us category. All right. If I'm affecting me, my shield mitigation, by the way, is already 82%. If I add 20%, what is it? She's additive. Net. 82 plus 20 equals 102, a.k.a. no damage to hull. Effectively, 100%, Gimmon. That's correct. What if I am running Titan Shield? All right, I'm going to run a couple of comparatives here on you. By the way, Cerritos. Can I run the Cerritos Lower Deck Spirit? Yeah, let's look at Lower Deck Spirit. Let's look at Lower Deck Spirit. Increases base shield mitigation while supported by Cerritos. Let's pretend I've got it maxed, 2.5%. Okay? Let's pretend I've got it maxed, 2.5%. Cool. And I've got my KSG. Let's say it's maxed, also at 2.5%. That's 5%. Now, let's say I get 13% from Janeway plus 1 side of synergy. I'm at 85. I'm going to take a look at Janeway. I'm going to take her base value, and then I'm going to add a single side of synergy. What does that make my shield mitigation? %, plus 7% is 13, plus 15%. It's going to make it 98%. Or what Mud used to do on a 40% proc rate. Except now she's guaranteed. When you take hull damage, she will increase your shield mitigation by 6% for one round. This is tricky. What happens when I get my shield mitigation up to 100%? AKA, let me ask you a crazy question. Do you want Janeway with full synergy? That's right, Sid. You don't. If you've got Janeway at full synergy, one round, she's going to take hull damage, then she procs, and she'll get you your bonus. But the next round, if all of your damage goes to shield, have you taken hull damage? Have you taken hull damage? No. Which means she's not going to proc in the second round, which means you don't get the extra shield mitigation in the third round. Okay? That's right. Carissa says it means you will always take your normal mitigation for the first shot of every round. Yeah, I can see that. For one round. Yep, you're exactly right about that. Do you want to run? Oh, okay, I can see what you're saying. If you run double-sided synergy here, this was the reason why we said not to do it, Raj. If you run double-sided synergy, will your WHOO ever proc? Not reliably. Snake Guy says, too much math, more pew-pew. All right. That's right, Carissa. We don't run double-sided synergy because of WHOO. Except if you did, you don't use WHOO, and the first shot of every round is the one that smacks. After that, you take no hull damage for the entire rest of the round. As long as your shields stay up, right? As long as your shields stay up. Okay? So that's Janeway. The most common, there's 2 officers left. The most common, and the one that most people use a great deal anymore. Let's go back to, I think, 2 summers ago. Let's find him. Come on, you know who he is. Who is probably, arguably, the best shield mitigation officer in the game. At least most widely used. Jimmy Jams, you're almost there, buddy. Almost. Give me a minute. I'm trying to get there. Dragon Keeper says Harrison. Jimmy Jam says Harrison. Nope, I'm talking about Strange New Worlds Pike. Strange New Worlds Pike, or Spike, as we lovingly call him. Okay? When fighting hostiles, Strange New Worlds Pike increases shield mitigation by 4%. It's a captain's maneuver. Captain's maneuver, meaning that he does indeed get synergy. Okay? His synergy, if you run one side of double bar synergy, all right, he's going to get 5%. If you run him with max double bar synergy, it's 5% per side. That's 10%. Plus the 4%, you are now at what? 14%. Well, let's pretend I've got my KSG maxed. That's 2.5. So now I'm at 16.5%. Let's say I'm boosted by Cerritos, and I've got that lower deck Spirit. That's another 2.5%. So now I'm at 5, 5, 5, and 4. 5, 5, 5, 4. What is that, 19%? Does that mean that I could actually use Strange New Worlds Pike and get to 99% shield mitigation? That is correct. Strange New Worlds Pike, Raj, that's right, his captain's maneuver. When fighting hostiles, Pike will increase your shield mitigation. By the way, is that 4% and the 5% and the 5% and the 5%, are those additive? Do they stack? Nura says it depends on the hostile. Does it? In this particular case, does it depend on the hostile? Take Cerritos out of it. Okay? You would be left with Pike at 4%, double-sided synergy adding 10, it's 14. From the 20, that puts you at 84. Okay? Nura says he doesn't work against G6. Wait, seriously? Is that real? Actually, I think I knew that. Yeah, I think I knew that. Too much walking or beer. I know. All right. That's right, Berlin. You could get him up to 100%. But actually, mathematically, With Cerritos, with KSG, with full synergy, you're going to get him to 99%. Okay? Going to get him to 99% shield mitigation. Now, Grungandola says he doesn't work against Xindi. Why? That's a very good observation. Why wouldn't he work against Xindi specifically? Xindi specifically ignores shields. Doesn't matter if I have 100% shield bypass or 100% shield absorption in my case. Because again, Strange New Worlds Pike affects us, not the other way around. It affects me. So if I've got 100% damage going to shields, doesn't matter. Xindi says on combat start, all damage this hostile deals will completely ignore shields. So Nura's telling me that the G6 hostiles basically have the same ability. They have shield ignore? No kidding. Do they really? Didn't know that. I knew that there was something about that up there. I didn't know that that was their ship ability with shield ignore. I thought it was like extra crit and crit damage and stuff like that. Woo! Yikes, says Vic. Well, enter our new Strange New Worlds officers. Okay? We've talked about Harry Mudd, Uhura, Pike, Una, and Janeway. And by the way, we've put almost all of these into the category that says it's affecting us, right? We've done almost everything in the category of affects our shield mitigation, okay? As a matter of fact, so far, the only thing that we have identified that affects our enemy target's shield mitigation is Immortal Shield Mitigation Reduction, which is a research, okay? Titan Shield, which is a research, but does require fortification, so it's not permanent. You're right, Murphy. I'm going to come back to that. Those are the two researches. And then TOS Uhura, which affects enemy, but that's PvP. Una's PvP, nothing else for PvE. Let's come back. We've got just a couple of minutes before I want to take our first break. You're absolutely right. We were talking about improving our shield mitigation, but guess what? Strange New Worlds Pike is a double whammy. Strange New Worlds Pike works in both sides of the column. His captain's maneuver increases our shield mitigation. You're absolutely right. His officer ability affects our enemy's shield mitigation. When fighting hostiles, Pike decreases hostile shield mitigation by 35%. By the way, additive. Additive. So, again, let's start at 80%. Let's pretend that we've got 2% out of Immortal Shield Mitigation Reduction. So that means my hostile is going to be down to 78%. That's what we were just showing in the screenshot a little bit ago before I messed it up. 78%. Now, let's pretend that I've got Pike here. And by the way, he is maxed. That's a tier 5 maxed Strange New Worlds Pike. At a tier 5, he's ignoring 35%. What does that go to? If I'm at 78 to start, I'm ignoring 35. Where do I go from there? Is it 35% of the 78? Engineering says at tier 1, he starts at 10%. Fair enough. Is it 10% of the 78? No. It's additive. Meaning that I can take my 80 minus my 2%, 78, minus 35%, 43. 43%. Is that the right math? 78 minus 35. 43%. So, if I throw damage at a hostile, that hostile, which ordinarily would have had an 80-20 split, is now going to drop to a 43-57 split. 43-57. Okay? Basically, half of my unmitigated damage, a little bit more than half of my unmitigated damage is going to go straight to hull. That's great! That's fantastic. But there is one extra mathematical calculation when it comes to shield mitigation. And so far, up until this month, there has been only one officer in the game who has used this very, very weird and odd mathematical calculation for shield mitigation. We're going to talk to you about that on the other side of the break. That's right, Matters. It's John Harrison. How does John Harrison work? We're going to talk about him on the other side of the break. And then we're going to take this entire 90-minute conversation and we're going to wrap it back up into Strange New Worlds Pike. Is he additive? Is he multiplicative? Does he stack? What does he do? And what is his application? We're all leading up to it. Hang in there, Doberman. I'm like a regular Ryan Seacrest. We're going to get to the meat and potatoes right after this break. My name is Ultimate DJs. This is Talking Trek Live, Star Trek Fleet Command's official podcast. More on shield mitigation, John Harrison, Pike, Kirk, and so much more on the other side of the break. Don't go anywhere.
Scotty, we'll need everything you have.
Warp speed. Aye.
Commanders, that sound can mean only one thing, and it's that we are hyping up Star Trek The Cruise 8. Why, might you ask, are we hyping this up? Because we are bringing you with us. That's right, Talking Trek presents Star Trek The Cruise 8 Sweepstakes, where you've got a chance for you and a friend to join us on the boat. Support the channel however you would like, through Patreon, through Twitch, and even by sending simple postcards. The official rules are available on our website at TalkingTrekSTFC.com, also on our Discord, and in our Twitch chat. Hurry and get your entries into the contest right now. There are no limits and no purchase is necessary. You want to go cruising with myself, Griffin, Wardod, and so many more? Then enter now for your chance to win for you and a friend to cruise Royal Caribbean for Star Trek The Cruise 8, where we will be celebrating 30 years of Voyager. That's right, it's the 30th anniversary. Find the official rules and get entered today. This portion of the show brought to you by CrazyBunch.org. Are you old like Bubba Joe and get tired playing video games? Surtail has a solution for your health and wellness needs, especially while gaming. You could try an energy gummy for those long incursion events, or just to keep yourself conscious while you're doing all that mining. Surtail is an independent distributor of all aerial products you'll need to improve your gaming experience. Message Surtail on Discord or visit CrazyBunch.org for more information. Yo, what's up, Commanders? Great news about PvPTarget.com. You've known for a while that it exists and has some great reference tools regarding PvP banding and common crew loadouts, but they've recently launched brand new tools on the site, including a brand new cargo calculator page as well. This isn't your typical max cargo style calculator, but a brand new, unique tool that identifies the timer until you go over cargo. The game timer might tell you how long to zero the node, but how long until your miner is at risk? You can find out now by using the brand spanking new cargo calculator at PvPTarget.com. Today's show brought to you in part by the Musgrove Trial Firm in Georgia. Have you suffered personal injury in Georgia? You need a buddy. Give Buddy at the Musgrove Trial Firm a call, 678-226-1994. Visit them online at musgrovetrialfirm.com.
This program is made possible in part by a grant from Spick and Spam, the household cleanser with 10% pork shoulders.
Today's world is crazier than ever, and your chest is bigger than ever. So dress yourself the right way with Chesty Vests, the first all-in-one brassiere and self-defense vest that will keep your ladies comfortable and safe all day.
It's so snug and firm. Nothing's gonna penetrate my Chesty Vest.
And if you order now, we'll send a free Chesty Vest sports model for those times when you're on the run.
Hey, get over here, lady.
Try and catch us first, buddy.
Protect yourself from all the nuts out there with Chesty Vest.
Tonight, on an all-new Unsolved Mysteries, we open a real can of worms by diving into what the heck was in RFK Jr.'s brain.
Sources online say it was a parasitic worm that died in his head, and I believe it because parasitic worms always get involved in politics.
Could it be a different type of worm?
Is everybody forgetting that this dude is a Kennedy? That worm definitely came from the bottom of a tequila bottle.
Are we even sure it's of this planet?
There ain't no surprises here. All these politicians have alien larvae in their brains. Kinda like them Men in Black movies.
Unsolved Mysteries. RFK Jr.'s brain. An episode so good, it'll prove to be quite the earworm.
can't let go of my processed meats. I eat and suck down all these tasty treats. My blood work is not looking so great. Doctors say I have to put down the plate. Hot dog killer and processed beef. No, 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 no tubed meat. Need more salads. Oh, hot dog killer and processed beef. No, 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 no wieners. Need more veggies. Oh, yeah.
We're losing him! He's had too much salami!
Still better love me, and I can be late for a date, that's fine, but you better be on time. And any man of mine will say it fits just right when last year's dress is just a little too tight, and anything I do will say better be okay when I have a bad hair day. And if I change my mind,
dude, can I just say that Shania Twain is still the hottest thing in country music. Let's go! Oh, I could listen to this whole track. General says no. Oh, come on. Come on, man. It's Shania Twain, for God's sakes. All right. I'm just showing my age. Matters says she will always be. I agree. Dirty Bird
love
Bill.
her.
Dirty Bird Bill says just saw her in concert in Vegas. She's phenomenal, man. She's phenomenal. What are you talking about? Reba. Okay. You know what? Fair. Reba's
Carrie Underwood. Please.
Okay. Yeah. But, I mean, I'm talking classic. Carrie Underwood's not classic. She's new generation. All right. We're talking old generation. Not old. That's the wrong word. So, sorry, Shania. Classic. Classic.
Carrie Underwood looks very pretty. Shania Twain, you don't even have to see her. You just got to listen. And
true.
Like, it's hot. It just is.
Dirty Bird Bill. You know what? I love your wife who just screams from the background, Shania is hotter. All right, that's fantastic. Thank you. That's phenomenal right there. All right. We could have a 30-minute conversation on country music artists. All right. But Matters, we are way, way deep into something else here. Can I also point out real quick, just to show you how mindful I was of all the details today. All right. Matters of all the details. There were two things that I forgot. A, forgot to unmute the Discord stage. So Matters has been up here for the last half hour. But DJ, and I never heard a thing because the button was muted. Okay. Second, after this show is over, I'm going to have to download the Twitch stream to get the first hour of the podcast because I didn't start the recorder. Oops. Third thing.
That's terrible.
I know, it's terrible. Third thing. Banana bread is not cake. What the hell is wrong with you guys? It is bread. It says so in its name. Okay, just throwing it out. Banana bread is bread. Okay. Oh my God.
Yeah, you're making your banana bread wrong if it's cake. You're making banana cake.
Bread. It says
a different
so
thing.
in the name. Okay, it's bread. All right, now let's come back. I'm totally discombobulated because I just had a heart attack when I realized I wasn't recording the podcast. But thankfully, we're on Twitch, and I can just download that segment the first hour, and I'm gonna have to piece it together. Editing is going to be a nightmare tonight, Matters. It's just going to be an absolute torturous event. Getting the show up on the air is going to take at least an hour longer than normal because I screwed up the recorder. Super awesome. Good job, DJs. Good job.
Wish I could help you.
Good job, DJs.
Attention, DJs. Pull your head out of your ass and begin working. Thank you.
All right. Honestly, I'm going to have to put a little beep sound right there. Scalyback says, wait, you haven't had much love on podcast. What are you talking? All right. That might be true in the first part of the year when I was, in like a massively depressed state and things like that. But I'm doing better now, Scaly. Leave me alone, man. Okay? I'm doing better. I'm a professional stream caster. All right. Now, let's talk about shield mitigation abilities. Okay? I am not being rated this time. Shield mitigation, we've talked about all the officers matters. Every single one of them, right? All of them.
Yep.
Nope. Nope. Missed one. We missed one.
Very important.
Very important. Super important. Has been important from the day he came out in this game to the day Scopely pulled him out for being broken to the day. Oh, sorry. I'll fix the screen now. To the day that he came back out not being broken anymore. And now that we actually have a new hostile that we use. I know Benny Hill. There's a lot going on. I don't have Griffin tonight, okay? Juby and Alex are making out in Vancouver, okay? It's bothering me. Okay? No, Juby, I haven't learned how to do a podcast on 2 platforms. Plus, I'm thinking about my lost love. All right? Anywho.
It's always hard when you first hear about them kissing someone else.
All right. Anyway. No, I don't want to get into it. Okay. No, there is actually there is a non-Juby and Alex related reason to why I'm so discombobulated this week. I don't even know if it does it sound stupid. I'll just give you 30 seconds. Does it sound stupid? This past week was Oliver's mommy's birthday. And I shouldn't, not a big deal, right? But it's kind of, I don't know, messing with my head a little bit. I don't know.
Oh,
should it be?
I don't think that's...
Should it be? It is.
Should it? That's not the same as, is it stupid? I mean, I don't think it's unheard of.
I feel like it's stupid. It's messing with me. It's been a rough week. Anyhow. So, yeah, and that, and then work, and, it's just, this the first birthday since the thing, and so, the 10-year anniversary is coming up in June. That's probably, well, it was last June.
That's going to be harder.
This June is going to be the anniversary, and I feel like that's going to mess me up for a minute or something too. So I don't know. No, it's just weird. I need a little Shania in my life. That's why I've been listening to Crazy Country. Anyway, okay. It's a bit stupid, says engineer. Thanks, buddy. Okay, just a little bit. He's like, it's a bit stupid. Not all the way stupid, but, a little bit. Suck it up, DJs. All right, I got you. All right, let's talk about John Harrison. Okay? John Harrison, a shield mitigation officer in the game who breaks every rule of shield mitigation that has been introduced into the game up until this point. Okay? John Harrison is by definition not an additive officer. Here's John Harrison. His officer ability is to ignore opponent's shield for the first round of combat. Okay? Ignore opponent's shield for the first round of combat. And it says 90%. Now, let me ask, Matters, if I've got 90% shield mitigation and he was happen chance to be additive, well, done, right? 80.
And they take 10% bonus damage.
80 minus 90 is effectively 0, right? Except Scopely, way back in the day, crazy enough, somebody different wrote John Harrison than wrote everybody else. John Harrison was written by a different coder than everybody else because he's multiplicative. He's multiplicative, meaning this is going to mess with people, okay? And by the way, I've got demonstration. Once we get through this beginning part, I'm going to start showing you examples. John Harrison will ignore 90% of the 80%.
At tier 4.
At tier 4. At tier 4, which is what I've got him at. Okay? He'll ignore 90%.
But not everyone does. I just threw it in there.
Fair enough. Okay? 90% of the 80%. Meaning that if I've got my my shield mitigation to 78%, like I currently do. I'm sorry, 82% of my enemy's hostile. No, so it's going to be 78% because I'm affecting the hostile. So it's going to 80. I'm taking 2% off from the shield mitigation research. That means now I've got a 78-22 split. Out of that 78%, Harrison's going to ignore 90% of that. Okay? Kind of weird, right? So if we take a look at what my opponents would be, 78%, we're going to ignore 90% of that, which basically means he's going to keep 10%. All right? We're going to drop all the way down to 7.8% shield mitigation. 7.8%. I've got 78 to start. I'm going to ignore 90% of it, which means he is still going to keep 10% of his 78%. He will be left with 7.8%. Okay? Now, Nura says, I thought he was originally pulled because of being a multiplier versus an additive. Not technically. He was pulled because Pike and Moreau could get you to 100% shield bypass. All right? And not only that, but you got to remember, back when he first came out, combat did last 20, 30, and 40 rounds. This ability made it possible to end battle in one round. Imagine 4 years ago, Matters, that this officer was the beginning of PvP ending in one round. 4 years old.
Years ago.
All that time ago. That's why he got pulled. Because, by the way, Scopely, 4 years ago, knew that one round PvP was bad for the game. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, hint, hint. Just throwing that out there. Okay? One round PvP was bad for the game. So Harrison got ganked. Okay? Benny Hill says,
they've always known it's
the
bad
glory
for the
days.
game. They just, it accidentally happened anyway.
Yeah. Oh, boy. All right, now, so we got John Harrison. Okay? He's multiplicative. Now, here's what I'm going to do. I am going to start throwing out a bunch of screenshots. Okay, there's a bunch. We're going to go through. I'm going to show examples of all this stuff. I mean, I've literally got a bunch. I'm going to throw them up. I'm going to try to put them in the graphics room, and we're going to go. Okay, I showed the examples a little bit ago in the graphics room of the 78%. I'm going to show now, for example, Pike. Okay, this is Strange New Worlds Pike. Okay, we talked about this one here just a little bit ago. Strange New Worlds Pike, where my tier, at max tier, he is at 35%. 35%. So we're going to go hit a hostile. Now, do remember that my particular research does have that 2% from the Romulan intelligence research. Okay? So this is the crew that I ran. Strange New Worlds Pike, Ant-E Data, 5 of 11. Really, all I did here, Matters, is I just took out Ant-E Picard. Okay, that's all I did. Yeah. I took out any Picard, I put Pike in there because I wanted to see the difference in the shield mitigation. Okay? Mm-hmm. So, as you can see from this particular screenshot of the battle log, I did, in fact, actually get a proc. Okay, which, by the way, is not up for chance. It happens, all right? My decreased hostile shield mitigation by 35%, that happened. Okay? So let's take a look at some math that happened as a result. Okay? Here we go. This is the defensive. Here's my offensive. This was the offensive damage and the way it broke down. And by the way, I put my calculator in there just so I could show everything. Long story short, all right, I wanted to prove that it was additive. So I've got 35% from Pike. I got my 2% from the Romulan intelligence research. That's 37%. I know that they're additive, so I'm going to take my 80-20 split. I'm going to take the 80. I'm going to minus 37. He gets 43%. Do I actually get 43% here? Okay? Well, let's find out. 43% means that I'm going to take the total amount of non-mitigated damage, which, by the way, is going to be 19, in this particular case, 19,743,470 of shield damage. added to the 26,171,576 of hull damage. Matters when I take hull and shield and add them together. That is the amount of unmitigated damage. Correct? That pi equals 100%. Is that correct so far?
Could be. Yes.
Okay? That's 100%. Now, if I'm going to take the amount of shield health as a percentage of the amount of total damage, which is what you can see I did here, the 19,743, 469, I divided that, or in this case, multiplied it by the 43% that the hostile should have gotten. All right? I got exactly 19,743, 469.78. Rounding error. Oopsies. All right? But if it rounds, it is 470. So not really a rounding error. It's there. It calculates. Boom. 43%. That proves that Pike is an additive officer on top of all the other research, or in my case, the one research that I've got. Okay? So let's complicate this further. Okay? Next crew matters. This is going to get twisty. The next crew that I'm going to run is I'm going to take 5 of 11 out, and I'm going to run Strange New Worlds Pike, who's additive, by the way, additive with my research, and then I'm going to throw in John Harrison, who's multiplicative. Oh, my God! It's going to get crazy up in here with the math. Well, let's see if it indeed does get crazy with the math. Here's the battle log and the calculation as a result. Okay? It's in the graphics room as well. What we're going to do is we're going to take a look at this top shot. 45, 166, 934. That's the total amount of damage that I've got on this shot. Okay? That is including the 1.9. Which one applies first, Mike? Additive. That's what I was actually trying to prove here, and I'm going to show it to you right here. 1,942,178 is my shield. 43,224,756 is my hull damage. Add them together. Total damage is 45,166,934. That represents my pi, my 100%. I know that Pike and my research are going to knock it down by 43%, or knock them down to 43%. So I'm going to take that 43%, I'm going to multiply it about from the total damage. That would be 19,421,782. Except I got John Harrison in there, who is also going to ignore 90% of that value. So additive first, then multiplicative. So I'm going to take the 19,421,000, I'm going to multiply by the 10% that's actually going to go to shield, which leads me to 1,942,178, which is the amount of shield damage I took in this example. Meaning that out of the 1.9 million from the 45 million, that left 43 million going straight to hull. Harrison is and will continue to be a beast. What's the problem with Harrison, by the way? Is there a problem with Harrison? What's Harrison's shortfall?
First round only.
First round only. 1 round. Recursion says no sourcing. By the way, brilliant point. I'm going to bring that up here in a second. But that's right. For those of you who have him, he only works for 1 round. Okay, DJ, settle down. Settle down. Let's continue the science. Matters. By the way, have we proven many, many, many years ago that Pike, Moreau, and Harrison actually worked? We did, right? Out of curiosity, real quick, Pike, Moreau, Harrison. Remember, my Harrison is tier 4. Pike, Moreau, and Harrison. What is the actual percentage value of shield ignore? Is it more or less than 100%? We're talking about Pike. Where'd he go? I lost it. Pike, Moreau, and Harrison. What is he?
100% every time.
100% of the time, every time. Okay? That's right. This is the oldie but goodie, and I think I messed it up in the graphics room. They're going out of order. I apologize. I'll throw it back up there, okay? 198% shield mitigation. Does anything matter after 100%? Nope.
No.
So 198%. By the way, there's my 2.2 multiplier times the 0.9 that Harrison is, 198%. I only need 100%. So that means by default, I could actually remove Moreau. So we did. Okay, let's run this example. Pike only, Harrison on the side. Nothing over there. We could put 5 of 11. We could put Data, whatever you want. Okay, this is the crew we run next. A hole on the side with Pike as captain and Harrison on the side. What's the mathematical formula on that one?
It's 40%, so multiplied by 1.4.
That's right. 1.4 times 0.9 equals 126%. Does that equal more than 100%? Of course it does.
That's a tough one.
I know. I know. And by the way, look at the battle logs that I put next to it. You can see that there is 0 health damage. It is all going straight to the hull. We can see it. Science. Science. All right. Now, let's enter. And by the way, Picard. Yeah, Picard, but Picard by himself actually gets a little bit less than Pike by himself. If you have Picard and one side of synergy, this is actually an example where Pike is better.
Yeah, he's got lower base but higher synergy. So
That's
the
right.
only time he's better than Pike is when you have two-sided synergy, which is silly because there's only one other decent TNG officer.
Agreed. Okay. You would almost certainly always use him with 2 officers, but if you're going to use Pike alone, Pike is actually better than Picard. Okay. Now, this all leads up to where we are right here and now. This is what somebody in the chat said earlier. Oh, my God, a commercial break, Ryan Seacrest. Thanks a lot. Take 90 minutes of beating around the bush to get to why I'm actually here. Let's talk about Strange New Worlds, James T. Kirk. Enter in the game's newest mitigation officer. Shield mitigation, that is. Let me just ask real quick. Just throwing up a yes or no in chat. Do you believe that that Kirk works like Pike and everybody else in the game as an additive officer, or do we believe that he's multiplicative like Harrison, the only multiplicative shield mitigation officer in the game? Which one does he work like? DJ Gert says he works like Harrison. Why would you think so? Why do you think so? Just curious.
Because otherwise you could just use him with Strange New Worlds Pike and get 100. So they purposely
That's right.
deactivated that.
Let's take a look at STFC.space. He's 40% of base. Okay? He's 30% with a side of double bar synergy, which puts him at 70%. And if you had double-sided double synergy, or double-sided gold bar synergy, you're going to be at 100%. Well, if he was additive, you wouldn't need 100%. He would cap out at 80. Okay? Which means Strange New Worlds Kirk, and by the way, lore-wise, I'm actually totally fine with this. If you had Kirk in the captain's chair and Pike on the side, you would actually be at 75%. Then your 2.5%, then maybe your 2.5 Cerritos, that would get you to 100%. Could have. Okay? However, here we go. Strange New Worlds Kirk indeed does work like Harrison, which means he works after the additive researches and then comes in and does a multiplicative because you would still need 100% in order to ignore all of it. Meaning, doesn't matter if you've got Pike on the side or not. By the way, Pike on the side will give you one side of synergy. Okay? But FYI, it's single bar synergy because they're both tactical. So running Pike with Kirk will never get you to 100%. All right, so bad news bears there. Eddie says, I'm running Strange New Worlds Kirk, Pike, and Spock. With synergies, I'm getting 100%. And you would, but only because you're running double-sided synergy and you have Pike's 35% boosting you up. And yes, we are referring to Strange New Worlds Pike. All right, because you need that synergy. Strange New Worlds Pike will get you the 35% from his officer ability. If he's maxed, by the way, it's 10% at tier 1, 15, 20, 25 at tier 4, okay? Depends on where you've got him there. But he will provide a single bar of synergy to Strange New Worlds Kirk, meaning that you'll have the 40% from Kirk, you'll have 15% from the single bar of synergy. That puts you at 55. If your Strange New Worlds Pike is maxed, you'll add 35 to the 55, giving you 90. And then if you run Kirk on the or Spock on the other side, that's another 30%. You're over 100%. That's 100% shield ignore. Okay, cool. Weird, convoluted way of getting around it, but yes, he is multiplicative like Harrison. So, I see your question, Vool. How would Strange New Worlds Kirk with Harrison work? I'm glad you asked, because I tested that as well. Give me 30 seconds to get there. We're going to look at a test with Strange New Worlds Kirk only. By the way, predictions. Predictions, anybody? Predictions. What is the amount of shield mitigation that my enemy will retain in this particular case? My Strange New Worlds officer is, my Strange New Worlds Kirk is tier 1, although it doesn't matter because it's a captain's maneuver, okay? So 30%. I've got 2% from KSG. I'm sorry, what is it? The Romulan one, not KSG. The Romulan one, Immortal Shield Mitigation Reduction. I got 2% there, and I got 40% multiplicative from Strange New Worlds Kirk. What's the math going to be? It's going to start to get wonky here. Okay? Let's do order of operations. Okay? I'm going to put this into the graphics room because this is very, very important. We're going to start here with just Strange New Worlds Kirk, and let's talk about the math because there is an order of operations. First, we're going to start with 80%. Minus the 2% that I'm getting from Immortal Shield Mitigation. That gives me 78%. Okay? 78%. I'm ignoring 40% because of Strange New Worlds Kirk, which means my target is still going to keep 60%. Does that sound right? Matters? So 78%, he's keeping 60. That means he gets to keep 46.8% shield. 46.8. Mimi, you got the math exactly right. 46.8. You get a cookie. Hi, Rooster. Hi, Rooster. Thanks for the raid. All right, 46.8%. I'm going to take the total amount of damage that I threw, the unmitigated damage, the way that we've been doing this ever since we started. So in this particular screenshot, 16,084,925 plus 18,284,572. Add them up. That equals 34,369,497. I'm going to multiply that by the 46.8%, and that means that 16,084,924.6 is the amount of shield that my hostile should have taken. Indeed, it took 16,084,925. Exactly on. Perfect math. But it's weird. The formula is complicated now because I got to do the additive part first, then I have to do the multiplicative part. Okay? Let's go on to Vool's question. What if I run synergy? Okay? So, before I get to the Harrison question, let's run this test, okay? We're going to run Strange New Worlds Kirk with a single side of double bar synergy. Okay? If you're in the graphics room, I know this has been tough to watch or tough to keep up with if you're listening and not seeing. But what I've got is I got Strange New Worlds Kirk on in the captain's chair. I've got Strange New Worlds Spock on the other side, mainly for the synergy matters. I'm going for 30% synergy. So now that takes Strange New Worlds Kirk from 40% to 70%. But again, he's multiplicative. Okay? So let's check the math on that. First of all, I do want to show that in the battle log, he did proc with crazy the proper percentage, which I know doesn't happen very often, but if I was going to hand out, small little kudos, it would be to engineering for actually getting this one right. Strange New Worlds Kirk did, in fact, proc in the battle log by showing the 70% shield mitigation, reducing enemy shield mitigation by 70%. Good job on that, okay? Now, if we're looking at the math of this, I've got 70%. So, real quick, C Engineering says, how about 23.4% DJs? Is he right? C Engineering, you get the next cookie. Good job. Wahoo. Wahoo! See, we're learning math, everybody. Here's where we're going to start, okay? I've got 80%. I'm going to minus the 2%. I've got 2%, so now 78%, and he is going to ignore 70% of the 78%. So how much shield is the hostile going to keep? He is going to keep 23.4%, or 30% of 78. Okay? He's going to keep, the enemy is going to keep 30% of 78. That's 23.4. If you take the 23.4% of the total damage, you will see here on your screen 6,710,043 is the exact amount of shield damage that my enemy took. The math, again, is perfect. So let's go one crazy step further. Now, for this test, I did not run Synergy. I did not run Synergy on this test because I wanted to keep everything simple, Mike. I wanted to keep it simple, Vul. Okay? Strange New Worlds Kirk in the captain's chair. No Synergy matters. And a Tier 4 John Harrison on the side. Anybody want to take a guess on that one? Anybody want to take a guess on the mathematical value of my enemy's shield mitigation on this one? This one's going to be tricky. DJ Gurr says 0%. K92
to say 4.6.
K92 says the same thing at 100%, but I think he's answering the question. 100% shield. Here saying, DJ Gurr saying my enemy's going to get 0% shield mitigation. Let's find out. Let's take a look at the battle log here, okay? First, we're going to see.
I only went with 4.6 because you said it's going to be tricky, so I figured it wasn't going to be 0.
Well, let's see how it actually breaks out, okay? First of all, in the battle log, we are seeing that Strange New Worlds Kirk is going to reduce enemy mitigation by 40%. It did show up proper in the battle log. Again, thank the developers for small miracles, okay? Shows up proper. And you can see my 90% of shield ignore from John Harrison. So, I introduced to you the loop that is thrown by John Harrison. What did we observe about John Harrison a few minutes ago? How long does he work?
He's different.
How long does he
round.
work? 1 round. So, DJ Gurr and K9 Tooth are both admittedly correct. In round 1, it will get to more than 100%. Meaning that in round 1, my enemy will take 100% damage. But in round 2, whoopsie, he goes back to basically being Kirk alone. And we did that math just a minute ago. Kirk alone is only going to be 46.8%. That would be round 2.
So you better get that first round kill.
I love that you said that. I love that you said that. We're going to talk about the value of first round kills here in just a moment. Okay? So, real quick, give me just a second. Let me make sure I put all my screenshots in the graphics room. I think I just missed one or two here. There we go. Okay. I'm going to put that one over here real quick in the graphics room. Sorry, podcast audience, I am doing my absolute dangest, but would you believe that I had like 45 screenshots prepared for today? Matters, would that surprise you? 45!
Not in the slightest.
Not in the slightest. This is some deep and heavy math and deep and heavy understanding of the game's mathematical formulas when it comes to these two different types of shield mitigation. Additive and multiplicative. I've got one more for you just for funsies. You guys want one bonus? You want a bonus? This one's for extra credit. Okay?
Yes, please, teacher.
This one's for extra credit. Strange New Worlds Kirk in the captain's chair. Strange New Worlds Pike as a side card, Ent-E Data as the other side card, Dr. BLT WHOO, and Chapel under deck. Again, I remind you that my Pike is maxed. So his shield mitigation is 35%. My Strange New Worlds James Kirk is tier 1 with a single side of synergy. Webster says, I feel like needing to copy and paste things to different places means they weren't fully prepared. You know, I have I have one section where I keep all of my screenshots, but when I click on it, it comes up on screen. But on screen, podcast audience can't see it, so then I have to copy it over into the graphics room. And I didn't want to put them all into the graphics room ahead of time because nobody would have had a flipping clue what I was talking about, and that would have just confused everybody as we were walking through. That's why I asked for one of the mods to help me, but they were so enthralled by my math, their clicky fingers just wouldn't work. All right. So, let's talk about this one. Let's see if anybody's got it. Andrew says 22.54%. Bartlett says 80%. Andy's going with 65%. C Engineering is going with 78%. I am disappointed to tell you that 100% of you have it wrong as of now. Matters,
19.35.
Oh, Matters gets the cookie! Matters gets the cookie! Let's take a look at how we got there, folks. The answer is indeed 19.35%. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take our 78, right? 80 is the standard. I've got 2% from the Romulan intelligence research. I am taking a 35% reduction from Strange New Worlds Pike. That means that my enemy now has 43%. However, my Strange New Worlds Kirk, with his side of synergy, is going to ignore 55% of the 43%. Which means he's only going to be left with 45% of the 43% that was left. 45% of 43% is 19.35. If I take the total amount of damage in this screenshot, 122,654,672 plus 511,219,616. I had crits there. Add them together, that means my total damage was 633,874,288. Multiply that by 19.35%. That will equal the amount of shield mitigation that my hostile target was able to retain. It was 122,654,674.7. And indeed, you can see that 122,654,672 was the amount that it took. I was off by merely 2 shield health points when I'm talking about 500 million worth of damage matters. I would say that is pretty daggone close. C Engineering says Kirk would put him at 55% of the 78. No, you missed one step. Kirk is the 55% of the 43 because you forgot about Strange New Worlds Pike. You forgot about Strange New Worlds Pike, who is going to reduce it first. Okay? Woo! That is Strange New Worlds Kirk. Now, let's talk about, here for a few minutes, I'm going to break up this next segment into 2 pieces. Where is he good? Let's talk about this for a second, Matters. Where is he good? Because here's the thing. He came out with the Gorn Eviscerator, right? So naturally, he must belong on the Eviscerator. Let me ask a question. Did anybody go out there and try my common and Benga on the captain of an Eviscerator? Can you still kill the 40 Gorn? Blah, blah, blah. Anybody do that? Do we need Strange New Worlds Kirk on an Eviscerator? Hang on, Andy. I'm going to get there. He says, wait, are you saying that James Kirk is a must-have? Am I actually saying that?
We don't need him to kill 40s with it.
I certainly don't need him on the Eviscerator, which is kind of where he was intended to be. I don't need him on the Eviscerator because the Eviscerator is going to knock out any Gorn out there. Eviscerator is going to make the Gorn Eviscerator refinery worth it to anybody who owns the Gorn Eviscerator, even if you punch all the way down to the 40s. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. A Canine Tooth, an Op 70, could use the Eviscerator, kill 40s, and he'd be fine. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
But that's because he's got the Eviscerator. Now, Canine Tooth, who is also an Op 70, could not have the Eviscerator and do like Moopsy was talking about on the show last week and just go kill him with a cube. Also, completely fine. Does he need Strange New Worlds Kirk to kill the biggest Gorn that he possibly can with his normal ship? Does he need Strange New Worlds Kirk?
No.
No. So VIPs don't need him. The young level 40s don't need him if they have the Eviscerator. What about G5? Obviously, it must be a G5 officer. Hey, G5. Oh, wait a second. Wasn't a G5 player the one who took Common and Benga and was grinding 40 level Gorn?
Yep.
But that means they had the Eviscerator. Okay, I got it. What about G5 players? Do they have trouble grinding Gorn in the first place with a regular ship? Did they have problems with Gorn before the Eviscerator came out? That must be who this is for. Wait, no. Doss says no. Andy says no. Eddie says nope. Have no problem grinding Gorn with G5 ships. Wildstar says I'm grinding 60s from the start. Okay. Uh-oh. Is Strange New Worlds Kirk useless? He is certainly not to be used with Gorn. That is the crazy piece of this. He is not good with Gorn. If you're a super whale, or if you've got the Eviscerator. Could I even say that possibly Strange New Worlds Kirk is an Eviscerator stopgap? So listen up, free to play. Those of you who don't want to go and spend $100 on the Eviscerator, I totally get it. You're free to play. You believe in that. I get it. But do you technically have the opportunity to earn him this month, albeit expensively? But do you have the opportunity to earn him without dropping real world currency? Yes, because you could spend materials on him, right? You could. You could spend materials on him. You could get him completely free to play. And if you don't have an Eviscerator, Strange New Worlds Kirk is your key to the Gorn. Narratively, that works. I like that lore. Okay? He works against Gorn if you don't have the Eviscerator. But, man, matters everybody in the game's going to have the Eviscerator in a couple of months. You mean to tell me this is an epic officer that they're selling and valuing and all this stuff that nobody's going to need in a couple of months? Well, there's got to be another purpose. Let's look at another loop. How about Zindy? You got it, Spock Monkey. He's for ships that ignore shields. Let's take a look at Zindy. All right, first of all, Zindy, good. Archer, fine. All the things, okay? He's good at Zindy. But let's drill down just a little bit deeper. The thing that a lot of people have been kind of tinkering with now that the NX-01's been out for a couple of months, are you guys struggling with your traditional ships, by the way, because the NX-01 doesn't actually do anything against Zindy Reptilian, but the Zindy battleships are the ones that the NX-01 helps, right? You got it, Andy. Could Kirk actually be good for Zindy battleships? More specifically, grinding the 40s. Let me open this up real quick. Again, shout out Blue Mandalorian and Jules for the wonderful, amazing graphics. I'm going to throw this into the graphics room. I saw it floating around chat just a little bit earlier today. You guys were already starting to figure this out. Okay? By the way, we've already talked about the Leslie crew to cheese the punch-up, right? We've talked about that. We've talked about the Leslie crew to cheese the punch-up. But that only gets you what? Let's talk about secondary sourcing here. If you use the Leslie crew to cheese up against Zindy aquatic battleships, you are earning gargantuan amounts of loot called tech modules. You're earning a tremendous amount of tech modules, okay? Because you're earning millions per hostel, and the tech modules are used to do what? They're used in the refinery for ceramic composites, where the NX01 ship parts, and the choice opportunity chips. The choice opportunity chips come over here where you got that safety and the risky one, okay? Where you got chance at earning export credits. Okay? Right? Cool. But there's another refinery here, guys. There's another refinery with a currency called special opportunity chips. These special opportunity chips are almost a 300% multiplier, actually almost 400% multiplier on the acquisition of rare and epic board credits. Where do these come from? By the way, that's right. They don't have, actually, they do have a cooldown. They do, Mike.
3 days.
It's a 72-hour cooldown, or 70, 3-day cooldown, okay? By the way, what does this refinery cost? This refinery costs rare choice opportunity chips. Where do those come from? The rare choice opportunity chips come from the loot drop box of aquatic battleships. Now, if you're using the cheese crew and you're going up and you're smacking one once a week, are you going to earn the choice chips? No, you're not.
Nope.
Okay? However, if you are using this crew, the Pike, NT, Data, and Harrison, with these below decks combination of officers that I put into the graphics room, if you're using this and you've got maybe a max fortification with Titan Trigger at tier 4, I mean, there's a lot of criteria here. Okay, this is super, super nerd math. Crazy nerdy, Jules Verne. I can't believe that Jules Verne and Blue did something nerdy. Can you? This is crazy. I mean, you've got to have tier 2 of Harrison. You got to have tier 4 of Data. You got to have at least tier 1 of Chapel. You've got to have a crit floor of 100%. You've got to have Titan Trigger at tier 4. You have to have a max fortification. And you have to have a minimum of the Mark V energy weapon on a tier 4 NX01. That's the minimum. And if you do so, you can grind 40s all day long. What drops from the 40s? What drops from the 40s are boatloads of rare choice chips, which are going to source you thousands of rare and epic board credits per week. Thousands. I'm not exaggerating. Thousands of X board credits. Oh, you're right, Devil Panda. It's a lot of must-haves. Okay? And by the way, Andy, I'm talking thousands of X board credits, because what does the refinery actually take? Let's come back and take a look. When you earn the rare choice opportunity chips, it's only 30, which means 3 hostels will give you a chance to do 1 pull. But most people are probably doing a double, right? 10 hostels will get you a double pull, which means 20 hostels a week is what you need out of the rare bundle. But, are you going to grind enough just to do this 1 bundle? Because you could actually do both bundles. So I need 100 chips out of here to do a double pull. I need 200 chips to do 2 double pulls. That is 200 choice chips. That's 20 hostels twice a week. 40 hostels will get me, yes, no less than thousands of export credits a week. Thousands. You want to talk about an instant max your token, your favors path? This is it. The tier 5 NX01. But it has one key requirement to you new players in the game who have not been here for 5 years. Has a key requirement. His name is John Harrison. If you don't have John Harrison, you're out. Right? Doesn't matter the tier of your NX01. Doesn't matter Pike. Doesn't matter Data. Doesn't matter Chapel. Doesn't matter Titan Trigger. Doesn't matter Max 4 to 5. You don't have Harrison, you're done. until now. Because now you have Strange New Worlds Kirk that does the exact same thing. K92 says, I go back to what I said an hour and a half ago, DJs. He's for new players that haven't sourced Harrison. And at this moment, I agree. I specify that with an asterisk, K92, at this moment. Because why? I mean, we've already proven that Strange New Worlds Pike can do pretty much the same thing. You got Strange New Worlds Kirk, but you put, I mean, even if we take this one right here, if we take this crew, Pike, Harrison, Data. If you don't have Harrison, now explain to me what the crew is if you have Strange New Worlds Kirk. Somebody? What's the crew if you have Strange New Worlds Kirk, but not Harrison? We're going to flip it up. We're going to do Strange New Worlds Kirk as captain, Strange New Worlds Pike on the side, and then Ent-E Data on the other side. Right? We don't need original Pike anymore. Don't have Harrison. That's right, Vic. Strange New Worlds Kirk in the captain's chair, Spike on the side, and Data on the other side. Everything else can stay the same. Perfect. He will do better than the Harrison crew, at least if your Harrison's tier 1 or tier 2. Okay? So I come back to so much content that's released in this game where we try, we try to figure out what it's for. Why do I have this? Why am I getting a 4th hostile grinding crew? Because, I mean, ultimately, that's what Strange New Worlds is. Right? That's what Strange New Worlds is. PvE, hostile grinding. But a lot of people don't have Harrison. Now, at this particular moment, we're talking about super deep strategy at banking Zindi content when he wasn't even released for that. He was released with the Gorn. We don't even use Harrison against the Gorn. So again, if you run into a situation where your other crews aren't up to snuff, or you're a brand spanking new player, I introduce you to the Scopely model of officer sourcing. Instead of allowing previously sourced content to come out, we're going to do the exact same thing again for new players with new content. Is it for me? Is it for you, Matters? Is it for you, K9 Tooth? Is it for you, Andy? Is it for you, Betty Hill's Ghost? The answer is no. It's not. Nope.
He might help with the Gorn later.
Oh, interesting that you bring that up.
He might help me hit ops appropriate Gorn at an earlier Eviscerator tier and be able to benefit from its loot boost research. Exactly. And then not having to do a second run with a different ship.
Well, let's talk about what he actually does, right? He is permanent shield mitigation at a very high level, okay? Strange New Worlds Pike did that when he first came out. That's what he did. But to use him that way, you had to be hitting a specific ship type. Do you guys remember? It had to be either Spike or Spock or Tag. Yeah, it was with the triangle. You had to have Spike, Spock or Tegus or Uhura, and then Una or Hammer for surveys, and then Spike in the captain's chair. But that was only with the triangle. Only with the triangle. Now we have added another hostile that does not require the triangle. One may say, yes, Strange New Worlds Pike is great, but Strange New Worlds Kirk can replace Strange New Worlds Pike. He can, eventually. He also is not triangle specific. Let's remind ourselves of the officer ability of Strange New Worlds Kirk. We gloss over this because base damage increase is baloney. It's silly. It's stupid. Yeah, you could argue that. Sure, it's silly. Sure, it's stupid. Sure, base damage doesn't really matter anymore in the game. I don't necessarily disagree.
Thousands still shows up.
I mean, yeah, thousands of % is relatively significant, isn't it? thousands of percent is kind of significant. Let's take a look at Strange New Worlds. Kirk, in his officer ability scale-ups, 200%, 600%, 1,200%, 2,000%, 3,500% improvement to damage. Now, this is base damage. Why do we care? First of all, these numbers at Tier 4 and Tier 5, they're not small. Okay? They're not small. Those are good numbers. This has probably been about a year ago, but Bubba Joe said the biggest whales in the game only had between 6,000 and 7,000% damage in the game. So you look at, even for a VIP, Tier 5 of this officer is a 50% base damage buff. That's pretty significant. But it's not about base damage at all, is it? You got it, Benny Hill. It's not about base damage at all. It's about Cascade. Getting base damage up only serves as the pre-multiplier for your Cascade. So I've been seeing Doberman talk about in the chat, Chapel has broken the game. I'm not going to say that Chapel broke the game, but a Tier 5 Chapel literally renders you immortal against nearly any hostile that currently exists. Notice what I say there, Doberman, that currently exists. Because if you increase your base damage by thousands of percent, and then you've got Isolytic Cascade, which is a multiplier on top of that, on Isolytic, then you got Cascade, which multiplies against the multiplier. We're talking, do you remember when I was teasing K9 Tooth a month ago, Matters, about only having like 350% Isolytic damage?
Yeah.
Now we're talking like 400 plus percent.
Mm-hmm.
Now, certainly says so.
Large.
Yeah, it is impressively large. Certainly says, so my spend on Strange New Worlds Kirk was a waste? No. Nope. I spent on him. Okay? I spent on him. Why? Why, DJs? You're telling us that he's weird and worthless and kind of silly. You know, he is a little bit weird in this particular moment of the game. Scopely, over the last 4 years, Matters, has demonstrated a weird ability to sometimes, call me crazy, let players believe that there's crap design when they ultimately have some sort of larger plan at play. I remind you of Voyager, which was kind of stupid in the very beginning. James Bond says, I did say the same thing about Data. Okay, fair. I did say the same thing about Data.
When was Voyager stupid?
Voyager was terrible at the very beginning. Remember the tiers? Like, you shouldn't go past Tier 4, shouldn't go past Tier 5. Like, it was weird in the beginning.
Oh, I went way past those tiers.
Me too.
I didn't stop like everyone told you to.
Me too, but it did.
Was for the parts, right?
Well, it did set me back.
You didn't want to bump to the new parts?
But also the size of your cargo and the amount that you could mine with the cells and all that stuff and the number of cells you could get and all that stuff. It was weird. There was a spot where you had to stop if you wanted to max.
Yeah, that's true. I got to a point where it was really, really hard to get enough to do the pulls because my tier was so high and I way beyond where it should have been for my level, and I couldn't get the warp range up that high to be able to get more loot.
Now, Brett says with Data, you couldn't predict he was any good until Picard came out a month later, which is when I predicted that, Brett. I said that Data was going to be great when Picard came out. The problem was, right after that, they released Strange New Worlds. If you got to go back and remember, if Strange New Worlds didn't exist, then a 440% stat boost mitigation would have been the new Pike Moreau. But then you had Strange New Worlds, which immediately nullified TNG Data. Okay? I would not have been wrong about TNG Data had they not released Strange New Worlds. Data was always going to be good. He's good now. He's just not great. He's not the best. Strange New Worlds is. And we're reinforcing that with these new sets of officers. Okay? TNG Data would have stood up if he was the last iteration of PvE hostile or PvE officer in the game. So now I bring you to Strange New Worlds Kirk. Why did I invest in him? If I knew all this, if I did all this math, if I did all this, Doberman, I like you, man. We're going to have to talk. He says, y'all are going to see soon enough. Man, it's like you're reading my teacher's notes, man. Let's talk about what we've got into the game over the last 6 months. And we're going to do it on the other side of this break. Guys, I am about ready to prophesize. You don't want to miss this, all right? Don't go anywhere, Matters. We've got a glimpse into the Magic 8 Ball right here on the other side of this break. My name is Ultimate DJs. This is Talking Trek Live, Star Trek Fleet Command's official podcast, right back after these words.
Scotty, we'll need everything you have.
Warp speed. Aye.
Commanders, that sound can mean only one thing, and it's that we are hyping up Star Trek The Cruise 8. Why, might you ask, are we hyping this up? Because we are bringing you with us. That's right, Talking Trek presents Star Trek The Cruise 8 Sweepstakes, where you've got a chance for you and a friend to join us on the boat. Support the channel however you would like, through Patreon, through Twitch, and even by sending simple postcards. The official rules are available on our website at TalkingTrekSTFC.com, also on our Discord, and in our Twitch chat. Hurry and get your entries into the contest right now. There are no limits and no purchase is necessary. You want to go cruising with myself, Griffin, Wardod, and so many more? Then enter now for your chance to win for you and a friend to cruise Royal Caribbean for Star Trek The Cruise 8, where we will be celebrating 30 years of Voyager. That's right, it's the 30th anniversary. Find the official rules and get entered today. Today's show brought to you in part by the Musgrove Trial Firm in Georgia. Have you suffered personal injury in Georgia? You need a buddy. Give Buddy at the Musgrove Trial Firm a call, 678-226-1994. Visit them online at musgrovetrialfirm.com. Portion of the show brought to you by crazybunch.org. Do you suffer from pixel fatigue? Well, we've got a gummy for that. Surtail has the answers for your health and wellness needs, especially when gaming. A gummy for blue light protection and eye health, an energy gummy, or how about a relaxation gummy to help you chill after Wardod kills all your miners? Surtail is an independent distributor of all the aerial products you'll need to improve your gaming experience. Message Surtail on Discord or go to crazybunch.org. Yo, what's up, Commanders? Great news about PvPtarget.com. You've known for a while that it exists and has some great reference tools regarding PvP banding and common crew loadouts, but they've recently launched brand new tools on the site, including a brand new cargo calculator page as well. This isn't your typical max cargo style calculator, but a brand new, unique tool that identifies the timer until you go over cargo. The game timer might tell you how long to zero the node, but how long until your miner is at risk? You can find out now by using the brand spanking new cargo calculator at PvPtarget.com.
This program is made possible in part by a grant from Quacker Jack, the duck-flavored popcorn and peanut snack.
Are you tired of getting beat up when you fly commercial?
Hi, I'm checking in for my flight.
Air Travel Self-Defense will teach you combat moves so you can survive your next flight. From overzealous security guards to maniacs at the baggage claim, no one will get in your way, not even those pesky fat kids at the food court.
I'm cutting you, mister.
Fly with the confidence of a first-class black belt at Air Travel Self-Defense.
It's the oldies album that's in control. Brian Wilson's Family presents The Conservatorship Boy.
They're showing me law citations, giving me no expectations.
A concept album so necessary, even the legend himself can't deny it.
Someone wipe up my drool. Now I'm letting the spit fly.
The Conservatorship Boy. The last Beach Boys compilation until Brian Wilson is
in my tomb. In my tomb.
Now trending on social media and coming soon to a retirement home near you.
Everybody is nursing me this May.
In Sin City, gonna bet my check, gonna lose my cash all night. Checking into my favorite hotel on the strip, a classy place, that's right. But I received an awful news update. They're closing this place, I'm afraid. I can't stop crying, this isn't great. They're leaving Las Vegas, leaving Las Vegas. How I wish I gambled more than the multiple times this past week. I miss all the mirage tables, better go on a big winning streak. Bet on blackjack and poker and the roulette wheel. Gonna lose the rent, I can't afford meals. Hope another hotel has a cheap room deal. Leaving Las Vegas. Leaving Las Vegas. Leaving Las Vegas.
Married to the good life, I said I'd be a good wife when I put on this ring. I drive a new Mercedes, play Guinness with the ladies, and buy all the finer things. But all that don't mean nothing when you can't get a good night's loving. Whoa, little rock, think I'm gonna have to slip you off. Take a chance tonight and untie the knot. There's more to life than what I got. Whoa, little rock.
There's my girl Reba. There she is. There's my Reba. All right, you guys all giving me grief about Shania versus Reba. See, I love them both. There you go. There's you some Reba and Little Rock. Welcome back to the show. My name is Ultimate DJs. This is Talking Trek, Star Trek Fleet Command's official podcast. All right, so during the break, I see you guys out there talking a little bit about, what are we going to do with Strange New Worlds Kirk? Now, let me, Zeron, let me specify for you that we're talking all about Strange New Worlds James T. Kirk, all right, because Sam Kirk is the exact same thing that he was in the show, which was just a secondary afterthought. All right, yes, he does have a few things that he can do, but I mean, whatever. He ain't no James T, right? He ain't no James T. Now, Chala asked the question, what can I do? What can I do with... I just lost your question, Chala. Here it is. What is it that I can do with Spike, Harrison, and E-Data at my ops that I can't do with anything else? It's not freebooters. No. As a matter of fact, it probably really doesn't exist right now, Chala. Gorn, okay? Gorn and Xindi are definitely two areas where Strange New Worlds James T can shine if you are struggling with that loop. Silent Hostiles as well. If you are struggling. Now, I want to point out kind of and 6 star. However, I will say, Nura, 6 stars not really struggling with their stuff. Okay? Not currently. They used to be, but they're not really now. I mean, some of them are. And by the way, yes, there are 6-star hostiles with shield regen abilities that already exist. There's already things with hazards, things like that. By the way, just throwing it out there, would Strange New Worlds Kirk have anything to do with a hazard hostile? Anything at all? Because Strange New Worlds Kirk is affecting the shield mitigation of my enemy, not my own. So being in hazard space, I'm just burning hull. I'm just losing hull. Has nothing to do with any of that. Okay? I might kill that hostile faster. That's cool. That's fair. I might take less hull damage, which might get me an extra hull or two. But does it help with the fundamental philosophy of hazards? The answer is no. But I do want to point out a couple of things that have come back over, say, the last year. Let's take a look, community. All right? Follow me along here. They've been on a track, despite the fact that they gave us 5 new loops in 6 months. All right? Let's take a look at those loops in a little bit of detail. And I'm going to go all the way back. I'm going to go back further. I'm going to go back to the original freebooters. Okay? Because, and by the way, this is not me. This is Jules Verne pointing this out. Jules Verne says they have been on a track of giving newly released hostiles an extreme stat in one variable. Let's go to freebooters and action. It was hull health. Species 8472, damage output, a.k.a. go home cannon. Texas class, isolitic damage. Wave defense, regular damage output. Xindi reptilian, crit reduction. Shield ignore. Firing pattern, specifically for the aquatics. The silent hostiles, crit chance, damage increase. By the way, how can you increase damage if not to decrease their defense. Strange New Worlds, Kirk can work there. Gorn, weapon count, ISO damage. So, DJs, let's think about this. Where in the game have we ever seen Scopely come out with a design that at first, on day one, looked a little bit wonky, but eventually kind of came into play? Again, I kind of go back and say, do we see a wide use for Strange New Worlds Kirk right now? Strange New Worlds James T. Zeron says every single time. Exactly. And about half the time, maybe a little better than half, the plan reveals itself. It did with artifacts. It did with Voyager. It did with freebooters. Scalyback says, step back sometimes. We got to look at the big picture. The details matter. Okay, that's true. All right. And Zeron says, I'd like to see Strange New Worlds Sam Kirk redeemed in some type of useful capacity. It could happen. Because as I'm discussing with Blue and Jules today on how you could actually use Strange New Worlds James T in a way that hasn't been done in the game as of yet, we actually came up a little bit of it at a loss. Okay? A little bit at a loss. For example, Blue writes, I'd be curious to see what maybe a low level, an upper G3, low G4 would feel like to run Strange New Worlds and Benga as captain with Kirk on the bridge and see if there is an actual Strange New Worlds improvement on their day-to-day. Okay, that's fair. You got the shield mitigation. They probably don't have high tiers of Strange New Worlds Kirk yet, right? I mean, Strange New Worlds Pike. So looking at a late 30s, early 40s player who got him Benga maybe and are looking at Kirk, maybe that's their new Pike Moreau. Maybe it's their new Strange New Worlds Pike. My face is itching. Okay, we don't know. I came back and said, interesting, I'd say that the only place I see Kirk being very helpful is in the low to mid 40s range without the Eviscerator. Because the battle shield ignore is going to be really, really good. The battle long, like not one round, but the entire length of battle, shield ignore is going to be good, but only if you can't kill them now. How many of you guys are struggling with Gorn? There are some of you, and that's okay. This officer helps. So I can see Strange New Worlds James T as a temporary stopgap until free-to-play can get the Eviscerator. But that would mean he has no significant long-term impact except as a secondary or tertiary or now even quadrary? What's the fourth grinding crew? I mean, it's not secondary. It's
Quaternary?
Quadrinary? Who knows?
No, that's a sanitizer.
All right. Blue Mandalorian comes back and says the real issue with these officers is not necessarily their individual utility, but their distinguishable utility, which is brilliant. The crew options have simply increased, but with the same utility, merely offering players additional sourcing towards abilities that they might have needed in the game. Interesting. But then Jules Verne comes in and says, hey, man, been looking at my magic crystal ball. I mean, what would happen if in the near future they added a hostile with a Eurydice type effect? Healing shields after every hit. So you have to lower their shield mitigation or bypass it altogether, in which case Strange New World Kirk will be clutch. Now, I do come back and remind you that for the last year, every hostile that has come out in the game has had an extreme stat. Hey, G6 players, do you guys have hostiles with shield regen up there? Do you? Rumor has it you do. Rumor has it that you do. G5s have a few select hostiles with shield regen, but my God, every single hostile up in G6 got it. More items in your utility belt? Don't disagree. I am more pointing you towards content that is possible dare I say, even likely to present, because is it in Scopely's best interest to release an officer that does nothing? They have done it. They have done it. Okay? It's not like that's never happened before. I mean, that's a thing. Okay? It has happened. But more often than not, what I see are officers that come out, and then the need for them in the game presents itself later. I go back and I remind you about the PvP strike team lower deckers. That's right. Spock Monkey says pit crew, another good example. I like the cartoon lower deckers, the PvP strike team lower deckers, because you remember when they came out, Carol Freeman wasn't out yet. Remember? They came out with the others. Carol Freeman came later. And it was almost as though they were like, hey, we know that you don't really need these officers right now, but maybe you should go ahead and get them because we'll wait till we see what's up our sleeves. Okay? I mean, that's true. Grungandola says, yo, DJ, to a minor extent, every G5 hostile currently in the game already does it. Okay. To a minor extent. I mean, 10% of shield health points for the first 5 rounds of combat. Not a huge deal, especially when we're talking about officers like Janeway and Chapel, right, Doberman, who can completely decimate their shields in 1 or 2 shots. So this is not a big deal. But what if Jules is right? What if it wasn't 10%? Oh, Magu says Freeman came before. Well, there was some combination there. Maybe it was Freeman and then there was something else. But there was a combination. Okay, let me rephrase that. How many officers have come out and Scopely has literally 100% relied on FOMO for them to have adoption? Let me come back. That is going to have a lot different answer, I believe. How many times have we seen officers that don't show off their ability until a subsequent month? I mean, there's been a few.
Good question.
Happens more than we think. Okay? Now, I come back to this Federation hostile. All right? And I kind of remind you, what if that wasn't 10%? What if it was 100%? Let me ask you this crazy question. What if a hostile in the game, and this is a big what if a hostile in the game recovered 100% of its starting shield health points for the first 5 rounds of combat? Just out of curiosity, what would you need? What would you need? How would you kill that hostile? If it had 100% shield health restore for the first 5 rounds of combat, how are you killing it?
Bypassing the shields, one way or another, or as much of them as you can.
Sure.
Seems like the best way.
Isolytic
or just being
damage.
ridiculously strong.
Yeah. Tal and burning. Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I could see Tal and burning, but doesn't that take more than a few rounds? What if it was 100% shield health restore with an insanely high DPR? See, now we're getting into the weeds, guys. Now we're getting into the thick of it. Doberman said this in the chat a minute ago. What if the DPR was out of this world? You wouldn't be able to survive long enough for Tau to strip all the hull. If you had 100% shield restore and DPR that's out of this world, what would you have to do?
Spike Murrow, Spike. Or Harrison,
okay.
if you're big enough to take it out first round.
Sure, possibly. That's it, though. You just said it. Kill it fast. Kill it hard. We need to kill it in the first round or second round. The sooner we kill it, the better, because the longer we survive, the more damage we take, right? If it's got an insanely high DPR, the longer the battle goes on, the faster we're getting socked on our health damage. Okay? So, what if? Now, again, let me be super clear. Strange New Worlds James T is too epic of a character for them to get wrong. That being said, they have gotten them wrong in the past. I'm not saying that that is not something that can happen. I'm saying that I invested into this officer because I feel in my gut something coming. Jules is right. For the last 12 months, every new hostile that's been added into the game has had something unique. A go-home cannon, super crazy DPR, super crazy hull, shield strip, shield ignore. They've had something because you know what? Every single hostile in the game is old. Except for the last couple of loops that we've added in. They're all old. And as we proved the other day with Common and Benga, you can literally, with Cascade, with the right combination of Cascade damage, you can kill everything in this game. All of it. I want to show you a screenshot. I don't know if I still have it. This was actually not part of my teaching today. I was talking with my Admiral, and we were tinkering with armadas the other day. Now, granted, I have a decently powered Sanctus. I do. Okay, my Sanctus is like tier 7, tier 8, whatever. It's pretty good. It's pretty beast mode, okay? Not going to lie. I like it. I like it a lot. Yesterday, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before. I'm looking for it. I don't know if it's going to still be in here or not. Doesn't look like it might be. I soloed a level 60 rare by myself. A group armada. How many of you guys have actually tried to push the bounds of what you can solo in this game? Because I know we've been talking about the Zindi Armadas and soloing and stuff, right? And we talked about that. By the way, the Zindi Armadas, they've got a couple of stats that really make it tough, right? K92 says, easy peasy. Well, you're a 70. All right. Zeron says, do it all the time. Spock Monkey says, me. Doberman says, me. Magoo says, hello, right here. Guys, push yourself a little bit because I would be willing to bet you would surprise the crap out of yourself. You got to remember, these hostiles that exist in the game were written a year ago, 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. And what have we done since that time other than add abilities? Other than add research and add stat boosts and add building buffs and add primes and add this and add that. That's all we've done. Yet these hostiles have stayed the same. Now, I'm not suggesting that everybody could go out and solo a level 60, okay? But one thing is for certain, the power creep is insane. You can do more today than you could a year ago. And by the way, that is if you have spent $0. Just the free-to-play research in the game has improved your abilities tenfold. Much less if you've bought this prime or done that thing or got that officer or done this cascade or this or that. Vic says, DJ...
The Voyager rares officers, that pretty much like triples your strength.
Absolutely.
In an armada.
Yes.
You don't need a bridge slot for hull breach. You don't need a bridge slot for burning. You don't need a bridge slot for morale.
That's absolutely right.
Massive.
Not only that, but you got Janeway and Chakotay, which are arguably better in the game on armadas than Cisco and Miles.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Chakotay and Janeway are beast mode. So I remind you again, what is it that you can do in this game that you couldn't do a year ago? Nothing! Zero! As a matter of fact, areas of the game that you never dreamed about being able to touch a year ago is now commonplace. Again, how many people, just for funsies, decided to take Common and Benga and go try to kill a Gorn? Did it work? And that's a new piece of content. That's a new piece of content. So, I come back and I say, if we have seen every single one of the last game's hostiles come out with some specific X, some X factor, is it so unreasonable to believe that Strange New Worlds Kirk, James T, is going to become something that will be valuable in the game, especially if you're looking at anything in the game, which, by the way, already exists, that regenerates shield health. let's go back, and I'm going to point this out. I'm going to pull this up on screen. This is from Jules Verne earlier today. Okay? I'm going to put this out here for posterity. Posterity. Can't even use that word. Here's Jules Verne's comment to me as of like 3.5 hours ago. And I'm going to put this in the graphics room, and I'm going to save it there forever. They have given an extreme stat in every hostel. By the way, go through. Look, please look. Does any hostel in that list have shield regen listed? They might be due. And given the officer set that just came out, does it stand to reason that shield ignore or shield regen is something that they might possibly be looking at? Now, again, this is all me hypothesizing. This is all me predicting. This is all me hedging my bets. Because, by the way, I spent 44 million material points on this officer this month. That's ridiculous. 44 million. I did it. Why? Because something is coming. This officer is one of those that you will, in my opinion, sometime in the next 3 to 6 months, you'll regret not having him. If you can get him now. This is what Scopely does. And I don't mean to throw in on it. It actually makes me feel guilty to contribute to the FOMO model because I actually typically hate it. All right? I don't like it. I would rather them present a need and then offer the officer that is going to give me the best strategic ability to overcome that need. I don't like this, and then the need appears, and I didn't know that I needed it here, but then later, this officer could either be garbage or it could be a lifesaver. I don't like that order in how it presents itself. I don't. And I hate that I'm contributing to it, but I'm here to tell you. Jules, Blue, me, we all agree. Matters? Let me just ask. You've seen my mountain of evidence. Let me just ask you a yes or no question. A Strange New World James T. worth it for you to have in the game?
Oh yeah, I think so. He's got a good and unique ability, which, I mean, granted it's similar to Harrison, but like you said, sourcing for him is pretty poor. And it gets rid of the first round issue, first round only. So I like him. I like when I saw his ability, I thought it was great. Good to have an officer that has that. It's unique. That's it's right. Not just.
It adds it to the toolbox, even though most of us probably don't need it today.
That's the only reason I don't like his officer ability. Yes, it's huge. It's a stout boost to your damage, but base damage is boring. I don't feel like it adds to the toolbox, like you said.
Well, it in and of itself doesn't. All right, I agree with you. Base damage in and of itself doesn't. But Chapel Under Deck sure does.
Well, yes.
Yeah, that's right. Give me a couple 1,000% base damage because Cascade is on top of that as a multiplier.
Yeah.
That is one of those that is good by subtle design. It's not good because he's good. It's good because of what somebody else can do to him.
Yeah. It's synergy with lower decks, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
That part of it is definitely.
Skawa brings up a good point. Hey, does anybody remember everybody who neglected Isolytic for months and months and months? Is this ringing any bells?
Suckers.
Packet says silence are the only thing on the list that required us going back to old officers. Everything else had content, new content, probably paid, that made it easier. Hence, Strange New World's James T. Okay? I know what it sounds like. I don't mean to sound like I'm on the Scopely marketing team here, but I'm telling you, there is more use to this officer than meets the eye, and he's too legendary of a character and too much of an important piece of Strange New Worlds right now for him to be worthless. There is something coming. Now, the sad thing is if it comes, it's not going to be in the Strange New Worlds arc, which really, really frustrates me about that. You know what I'm saying? Like, if he was meant for something else, then it seems like it should have been his own content, right? But, you know, Stuff like that rarely works that way in the game.
Can't.
Look at
Yeah.
Phlox and the
That's hard
Borg,
to-
and look at
Yeah.
So
I'd
know.
rather they fill the need than not fill that need because they want to stay
narratively. I know.
excessively anally true to the storyline. Yeah.
Nura says he's going to be for the next Discovery arc. He's for the next Discovery arc. Maybe. Who knows? Things like that could happen. This has been the crazy tinfoil hat theory of Ultimate DJs and Jules Verne. Blue Mandalorian also weighing in there and saying, yeah, I mean, I can totally see something like this. He was the one that talked about greater than 80% shield mitigation with low. What if a hostile came out? What if it wasn't? What if it wasn't 100% shield restore? What if it was natively increases its own shield mitigation to 50% instead of, to 100%? What if instead of an 80-20, it came out and it was 100% shield? This is a great question. Let me ask you this, Blue. I didn't even realize how brilliant that was.
100% would be crazy. That's insane. That means like you lose without him.
Think about this. Blue, I didn't even realize how brilliant this was until I just read it a second time. What if a hostile had 100% shield mitigation? What would you have to do? You'd have to chew the fat.
Burning if the DPR isn't high enough, or you need spike, or you need to reduce their shield mitigation.
You'd have to either reduce their shield mitigation
Otherwise you
or
die.
that's right, completely drop the shield before it takes any hull damage. Would that be an effective way of extending combat in this game?
Yeah.
That's also a brilliant
And once you
hostile
have
design.
Kirk.
That's a brilliant hostile design.
Yeah.
100% shield mitigation to start. You'd have to completely chew through the shields before it starts taking any hull damage, or modify it with items in your tool belt. Very, very interesting concept. This whole entire episode
give
has
it
been
10% per round hull regen, so you can't use TOW.
There you go. All right.
Just to twist the knife.
You listening, Scopely? We're writing your game for you. Okay? We're writing the game for you. Thank you. Let me throw this up into the chat here real quick. Magoo says, as an Ops 59, which is still pretty beast, okay? That's a Tier 9 Sanctus, so I get it. It's beast. But you know what, Magoo? A year ago, could you have soloed a level 60 Armada? Let me just ask the crazy question. Hawks says, stop giving them ideas. Hawks, I would rather give them good design ideas than bad design ideas. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, don't leave it in their hands.
Listen, these are interesting ideas. What Jules came up with, what Blue came up with, makes the game fun. Blue even wrote out and said, because I wrote this, I said, this leads me to believe, this Strange New Worlds Kirk, I wrote this, it leads me to believe that in the next few months, every hostile that comes out is going to be God mode. That's what I said. And you know what Blue came back with, which was brilliant? He came back with and said, I would rather it be unique mode than God mode. And he's right. He's absolutely right. Because these ideas that Jules and Blue are writing are good game design that are not cookie cutter crews, that do have ways in the game for us to beat them, but it's okay for them to release new content that accelerates us along the way. James T. Kirk is ahead of his time. Mark my words, his worth will become apparent. It is only a prediction from me. I've only played the game for 5 years, and I talk directly to game design, but what do I know?
Watch, next month someone will have 100% shield bypass as an officer ability and negate everything you've said today.
All right. That's right. Strange New Worlds Kirk is from the future. Okay? He's being offered in the game before we see the benefit. But you know what, Scopely? Fool me once. Shame on you. Fool me twice. Shame on me. You've done this before. I am not playing your FOMO game next month. I will not buy packs with 20 shards of Strange New Worlds Kirk. I'm going to get him now. Because his ability is too niche for them to toss it away. His ability is too unique for them not to have a reason that his ability was released. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Why release this ability if it doesn't do anything in the game? Except maybe it will. Okay? I don't mind that this content comes out a little bit earlier, but I do wish that Scopely, you would stop with this FOMO game and just tell people, hey, this is something that's coming, and here's why this officer is going to be good. Jonathan Ingram says, it is annoying to me that he doesn't work like any other shield mitigation officer or research in the game. Almost true. John Harrison is the single exception. I don't necessarily disagree, Jonathan Ingram, that they could have made it simpler. But the guy who wrote Harrison must have come back from vacation. All right. No, Jonathan Ingram, we've already been through all the math. You must have missed the first part of the show. Okay? He is mathematically identical to John Harrison. However, you are correct in that he is mathematically different than every other shield mitigation officer and or research in the game. Harrison is the only one that behaves like James T. And you'll have to go back and watch the beginning of the show because I did so much nerdy math. It was great. Okay? You were probably rating me during that time, but that's what you get. You missed out. All right? You missed out. You were rating. Were you rating? You probably were. All right. Questions. Nope. I still got 40 minutes on a shield. All right. Questions. Concerns. Ideas. What do you guys think could be coming? What is an ability? We've already talked about shield regen. Talked about 100% shield ignore. Super high DPR. Right, Doberman? What else could come? What else could come? And Doberman does point out, with a hostile that does come that works, will it be worth anything? I don't know. They did strike a gold mine with the Gorn loop. That's been a good loop. But if it was Silent or Zindi, that's arguable. Right? But Gorn's been pretty good. Maybe they strike gold twice? I don't know. No idea. Pixelate says, dude, I see this being... That's a brilliant idea. Pixelate says, I see him being used for G6 armadas with weird, funky abilities. Let's go back and take a look real quick. Does he specify non-armadas, or is he just PvE?
He did. But maybe.
And nope, he does specifically say non-armada, so you're out on that one. It's a good thought, Pixelate. I had to go back and double check. All right, but yeah. What about Wolfwood? Hostiles that negate officer abilities. That does exist in the game. Anybody remember Crass?
Mm-hmm.
How cool would it be to have a hostile that behaved like Crass? What about Q's trials? Oh, my God. Yeah, Deffy. I'm held up right now. I can't do nothing. I am stuck. Maybe 100% shield ignore gets me a couple more levels on Q's trials. You're daggone right. This is about dealing more damage directly to hull faster. Ignoring the shield that you got to chew through and just focusing on hull. Now, by the way, Jonathan, if you're talking about his tooltip, totally agree. I'm talking about his math. Okay, the way he's coded, which, again, you guys couldn't know. You guys couldn't see it. I get it. You're totally right about that. His verbiage is wrong. Or, let me rephrase, at least comparatively, his verbiage is wrong because his verbiage is the same as Pike, for example. His verbiage is the same as the research, for example. But mathematically, he's different. He's multiplicative like Harrison instead of additive like the others. And that is the first part of the show that I talked about, that difference. You guys wouldn't know, which means, yay, I still have a job for another month. I get to teach you things. Okay? That's what I'm good for. Not much else. All right? Nura says,
Don't
I think...
sell yourself short.
What's that?
I said, don't sell yourself short.
Nura says, I think silence are going to benefit here. I think Q's trials are going to benefit here. I agree. And Jonathan Ingram says, I reported it as a bug last weekend. I know. Your ticket was sent directly to me, as were the thousands of others. Thousands of tickets in the game regarding the performance of Strange New World's James T, which is why I wanted to come out and do this entire segment. There is definitely something very different about the way he functions. So I thought this was a great time to teach about it. Okay? 2 weeks now, 2 weeks in, everybody should have him. Rephrase. Anybody with 40 million points worth of materials, should have him. But yeah, a lot of people thought the same thing you did. And it makes sense. His verbiage is all jacked up. Okay? Tagora says, don't sell yourself short, DJ. You're good for resources on server 15. Thanks, man. Thanks, man. Jonathan Ingram says they could make him match Pike instead. You know why they won't? Because then it eliminates the need for synergy. They're not going to do that. Okay, I guess there's like a 1% chance that they do that, but they're not going to. Okay? Otherwise, they would have rewritten his math to make it like Pike, but this was the intended effect. That's right. He would still need synergy. Well, they could have done that for simplicity's sake, I guess. That's right. I am broke. I went to Ops 57 this weekend. I needed to if I was going to get my Strange New Worlds Kirk. Had to do it. Had to go to 57 because I had to spend a bunch of materials. 44 million points worth. All right, but yes, I am totally broke now. I have 480 billion steel, 700 billion trite, and 28 billion dill. Herb says Scopely doesn't send you officers? No. No, never. The only time that they send me officers is if they are not in leaderboards. For example, they will probably send me an unlock of Chapel. Not an unlock of Pelia. They'll send me an unlock of Pelia in all likelihood, but that's because she's not a competing reward. They won't send me anything that's sourced in a leaderboard reward. AJ says, if you ask. No, I did. Hold on. You want to see it? I'll show you. I did actually ask for Kirk. Because I know what I did. I know what the rules are, but I did. Okay? Hold on. Here. I probably shouldn't put this out there. Well, no. You know what? I'm not going to screenshot it. But I will say, I asked Beck for 60 shards so I could do this teaching before this weekend. And she says, no grants at present. Sorry. No grants at present. All right. Yeah. No, I didn't. I don't get it. Benny Hill says, DJ, you haven't even talked about Pelia. Well, we don't have time today. All right. We can talk more about Pelia later. By the way, she is interesting. But I don't have her yet, so I can't really play with her yet. But isolytic defense and reverse isolytic offense debuff or isolytic offense debuff, those are probably going to be interesting. Just throwing that out there.
There's a magic number involved in that.
There is.
Those abilities.
Yeah, there sure is, isn't there?
We're not going to give it away today. We'll talk about it later.
We'll talk a little bit about it a little bit later, okay? Hi! Oh, thanks. I just dropped it. Oliver's throwing things at me in the studio right now. All right. Jonathan Ingram says the numbers are too low to matter with Pelia. That depends. Remember, it's not just defense. It's a debuff of offense. There is a scenario in which isolytic offense can become negative, isn't there, Jonathan Ingram? That's all I'm going to say for now, Matters, right? Isn't that where you were leaning? There are scenarios in which hostiles can throw reverse or negative isolytic damage. I tell you what, without giving away the entire goose and gander, Matters, what happens if a hostile throws, quote unquote, negative isolytic damage? What happens to your damage?
Then they're dealing less than what their normal shot would be, which would be like not including the isolytic that they would get on top. So instead of getting additional isolytic damage, they're actually getting a reduction to their damage.
That's right. It's actually negative isolytic damage that counters their positive normal damage thrown, so it nets out to less than a 100% normal shot. which, by the way, probably wasn't intended, but it's been in the game for a year. So it's been in the game for a really long time. Okay. However, most people are talking about her below deck ability. Crazy enough, her below deck ability is not where she breaks things. She breaks things on the bridge.
Regular.
Yeah. On the below deck, it's isolated defense, which is an efficiency formula. But on the bridge, she breaks things. And when I say breaks things, she doesn't really break things, but she has very interesting results. All right. So we'll talk about her on another night. Doberman says, Again, not for G6. Nothing really matters for G6. G6 hasn't had content in so many months. I'm just throwing that out there.
All that matters for them is hazards and hazard defense.
Yeah, but that's not isolytic either, really. It's totally different. So, all right. Brett says, I'm busy. I don't know your password.
Same thing every time.
Every time. Your Roblox login. I don't know what your Roblox login is. I am doing a show. Oh, did you hear that? Did you hear that? Please. All right. Benny Hills Ghost said, are you saying that Pelia is kind of like an isolytic Chen? Maybe. Kind of. A little bit. Sort of. Kind of. Yep. Try password 123. Try 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Not your bank pin number.
Damn it. All right, guys. Anything else? Anything else? Does that do it? You guys have any other questions? Brett says, it's been 3 hours. Go play with Oliver. I will. Can we get the regular damage to nothing so the negative isolytic heals your... No, I don't think it actually works that way. But it can reduce... I don't know if there's a scenario in which it reduces to 0 either, but it will reduce less than 100. Because the damage floor doesn't apply to hostiles. Does it matter?
Nope.
All right. No. Will Scopely consider the pickle skin working in... Will Scopely consider the pickle skin working in PvP? Doubt it. No. Why would they? Because that with Tau is an automatic battle ender. They're not going to probably do that. Scalyback says, can we get all this math on podcast for study? Yes, it is in the graphics room. But I'm not good at actually writing teaching material, so you're just going to have to listen and go through the screenshots and interpret for yourself. Okay, maybe his password is Raid DJs. You know what? I've had about enough of you, sir. I've had about enough of you, Jonathan Ingram. I actually messaged him the other day. I said, Jonathan, I just went to 57. I'm no longer worth raiding. And he says, DJ, don't actually put yourself down like that. You're still good for views on my channel. Oh, you might not be good for resources, but you're still good for views. Thanks, Jonathan. I feel so loved. Good point, says Mike. I know. Canuck, thanks. Appreciate you being here. Brett says, content Farmville. Yeah, just farming DJ's base. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you so very much for being here. My name is Ultimate DJs. Appreciate you being here for this episode of Talking Trek, Star Trek Fleet Command's official podcast. I would like to invite you, as you have only a few moments left to finish up your Monopoly Go sponsorship. We'll be giving away Eviscerators coming up here in a little bit. We will also, that's coming this week. I would also like to invite you to get some merch. We're going to be working on the merch here before too long, trying to get some new stuff in there and some new cool items. So be sure to check that out at TalkingTrekSTFC.com. You can also go back and check out our YouTube channel where we got Griffin throwing up a couple of shorts and doing some things there. You can also join and be a part of our Patreon community where you can support this show financially by being a member of the Patreon team, supporting the show at $5 or $10 a month. As a matter of fact, $5 gets you access to the special gold room and turn your name gold in our Discord. But if you spend $10 a month, then I will say thank you at the end of the show, like I will to these fine Patreons. Thank you, Lord Neelix, Lady Cass, Trader, Iron Chef, Virtual Army, Mech Regis, J Burke, Shady Pines, Big Shakes, Lobot, It's Hunter, Degora, Cruzito, Rand Susie, Hank, 8, DJ Gurb, C101, Late Nighter, Lightbulb, Louis P, Osiris, Bayonetta, Krog, Archangel, Smoke Mohawk, Jetski, Papa Smurf, Jason, Captain Jack, Venium, Scorpionus, Archer, and Honey, and Dominus, Casey Jones, Wet Willie Joe, K92, Surtail, A-Fox, Judge Cren, G-Force, My Maintenance, Captain Q, Game Jr., Admiral Inwater, Cha-Cha Roar, Scarlet Hawk, Kendall, DJs got rated again, but not anymore. Jaga, Never Go Full Tilly, Blue Mandalorian, Noxus Exhibitor, Furbax, Dr. Link, Clueless One, Schizoida, Welch Gunner, Unimatrix, Hazards for All, maybe coming soon. The Web, Ballabomb, King 101, Medic 213, J-Babes, Dark Knight, Pixelate, Spectre, Buddy, Yukai Nico, Diva Dorsal, Oscar 90, Shoopster, Griffin, Mean Bean, Thomas, Everywhere It Matters, Shannara, John, Rogue 5, Squirrel Noggin, Kathy, It's Jess, Insanity, Paviola, DJ's Better Refined, More ISO, Cottontail, Sweet and Psycho, and Hazards for everyone. Adam Ramble says I haven't updated the names in a hot minute. Yeah, it's probably been a couple of weeks. I'll do it this week. I got a lot of things to do, man. I'm still working on the cruise entry sweepstakes. I've gotten so many that I've got to put in the list. It's a lot. But I appreciate all your guys' support. Thank you to our gold Patreons for supporting at a level of $10 a month or more to Talking Trek. A registered trademark and recorded in front of a live studio audience for distribution across podcast platforms everywhere. I am your friendly neighborhood cat person, Sam Yow for now. Love you, man. To catch you on the next one. Good night, everybody.